2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. You could turn $10 into $250. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/fan and use code FAN. That's code FAN at prizepicks.com/fan.
Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Perfect. What's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Tony Dunn, the professor, here talking a little Carolina Panthers, the latest news and opinions from the fan perspective. I don't know why I'm all funky and junky right now. I just opened this bang energy. Maybe that's why I'm off my game. Let's start this over. Welcome to the C3 Panthers Podcast. My name is Tony Dunn. We come here every Tuesday night to chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions. Tonight's show, NFL draft approaches, and Carolina has their options open, even for a quarterback. And my co-host, Cody Lashley, informed me there's a better show title out there. He just didn't tell me when I was trying to put together the show. Cody Lashley, welcome to the podcast. Get me on track A and tell me what I should have named this show.
You should have named the show Fields in Free Fall, because listen, man, let me tell you, the rumor mill has been continuing to churn, and there is a lot of noise that Justin Fields might very well fall into our lap at number 8. We're going to talk about that tonight. Does Sam Darnold preclude us from drafting a cornerback? Could the Panthers trade down with the Patriots or the Washington football team? Dude, there's a ton of stuff to talk about. The draft is upon us, but Tony Dunn, you know we do this with the best Panther fans in all of YouTube, and they're here in force in the chat room tonight. I'm talking about Travis, Panther Blue, Lance Kubiak, Lee Trotter, Blake Bettis, AJ Lindsay, Leon Hart, the sports nut is in the building. Tony Dunn, and not to it, but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
My cameras all just froze up, so you can carry it, and CK can carry it. Welcome to the show, CK.
Oh, well, thanks for having me for a long time now. And so, last show before the draft. So it's going to be an interesting conversation. And this time next week, we're going to have hopefully a better idea of what this team's going to look like.
Yes, sir. Don't forget the draft show is Thursday. Go ahead and tell them what we're going to be doing. I got to refresh my browser. All right. Cody, take over.
Yeah. So this is one of those things where the Panthers are in a very weird position, CK. Because, again, as we've spoken about before, the Panthers are in position to go BPA no matter what we do. Yeah. And the rumor mill, I don't know if you've been following, has been pretty on fire. there's all these reports that we love J.C. Horn, cornerback from South Carolina, who I also did a review of on this channel. Patrick Surtain is a name that's been mentioned. And then Ian Rappaport, amongst a few others, maintains the notion that if a quarterback should fall to the Carolina Panthers at number 8, and if we like the player, that we would still draft a quarterback. And I'm here to tell you, I don't think this is too wrong. Knowing that the Panthers have a owner who is desperate for a quarterback, this makes a ton of sense to me. I think they would draft a quarterback if the right one fell to them. A lot of Panther fans would be mad, but I would be here for it.
There's a lot of talk, guys, about the quarterback position in this draft, as slated potentially four quarterbacks could be drafted in top 5 picks. Top 4, some people believe there's going to be a lot of momentum or movement. The Panthers have been in talks with that. So, look, guys, we're going to be watching all that live on Thursday night. We'll start the show 7:30 p.m. We're going to be bringing in guests. Fans will have an opportunity to hang out and react to the draft. So don't forget to do that, as well as you can call into the draft show and this show by using the Cat Calls line. The number's 252-228-5098. We want to hear your opinions on the draft. Carolina Panthers in talks of trading back, this and that, and how you would feel if the Carolina Panthers picked a quarterback at 8, even though Sam Darnold was a kind of a rich acquisition for some people. But there are other names in the talks, and you did a good job of outlining that. So we're going to get into that show. But before we do, don't forget to smash the thumbs up button and be a part of the chat room. The show tonight is powered by, if I can share my screen here. Holy cow. Show tonight's powered by Avolta. Own your own energy, fixed rate for life, no money down. Contact Kevin Brown. 704-215-3373. Don't forget to mention to Kevin that you heard about Avolta on the C3 Panthers podcast. Cut the cord from your energy company serving North Carolina and South Carolina. Want to go solar, good for the earth, fixed rate for life. Contact Kevin Brown. Let's go ahead and jump into the show. Cody, you said this is that talks are heating up when it comes to the Carolina Panthers surrounding potentially trading back has been a lot of the story. For months we talked about trading forward on this podcast and what the Panthers need to do to get that quarterback. But on top of that, the Panthers have kind of put themselves in a good position by getting Sam Darnold. But now there's talks of quarterback slipping. But again, the Carolina Panthers are shown to be continued to be linked to talks about like this. Report Patriots and Washington football team. Well, this one says Patriots and Panthers have done the groundwork on a trade for number 8. Washington football team has been linked to the Carolina Panthers in some other aspects, as well as I've heard a lot of people saying the Chargers would make sense to get to this spot. And don't forget that Teddy Bridgewater is still available to be incorporated in these trade packages. And in fact, I say he's required. Tell us about what's going on with the Carolina Panthers at 8 and the options of going back in the draft.
You're muted.
You're on mute. You're on mute.
My bad.
Oh, man, we were flowing too.
No, it was still on, baby. You can't stop this flow. So Albert Breer is reporting that the Patriots and the Carolina Panthers have done some groundwork on a deal involving Carolina's number 8 pick. All the reports have basically been saying that the Patriots really have their eyes on Justin Fields. And as I alluded to a little bit earlier, and as I'm going to continue to make the case down the road, there is a very real scenario in which Justin Fields, who is my number 2 ranked player on my big board, could be falling in this year's draft. And the Panthers have done this really, I guess it's a good thing for the Panthers. It's just nerve-wracking for the fans, is that we have so many options available to us. Tony, I mentioned on this podcast before that Sam Darnold seemed to me to be a glass in case of emergency quarterback. And I kind of think that they decided to break that glass a little bit earlier because they didn't think that the team or that any of these quarterbacks would be available to us. But knowing how many other teams are so thirsty for a quarterback, we're in a really good position for a team to want to trade up with us and move back a little bit. The question is, would that be worth it? Would it be worth it for the Panthers to move from 8 to what would be the 15th pick in the draft? I mean, you're essentially talking about a fringe first round player at that point, especially since Federer had said that the Panthers have 16 players as of right now with a first round pick on their board. So, I don't know if this would be a deal that would be too worth it for the Panthers, but it's certainly an option for us moving forward.
Well, if they're going to trade back, you got to think there's kind of two options of what type of team would they be trading with? Obviously, New England is one of these. An example is that they would be in that hunt for a quarterback. So a quarterback would need to be there at 8 for that trade to be ideal for them, which then means we've got to start doing some thinking about if a quarterback is ideal for us at 8. So if they're willing to go up after these guys, you got to really start thinking that player might be worth selecting yourself. Another team, like the Washington football team, again, quarterback hungry, trying to move up in the draft. I don't know what other teams out there, though, could be trying to navigate the ladder, climb the ladder, and not be looking for a quarterback. And I think it would just be someone maybe trying to get one of the top offensive tackles or offensive linemen in this draft. And again, the Carolina Panthers need that type of player on their roster. So it doesn't really seem to me in our best interest at the moment to be considering trading back unless there was some sort of king's ransom that came along with it. And I don't know if tempting me with players who are elders at this moment, like a Stephon Gilmore, and you got to wonder, I'm trying to look up his salary, right? I don't see how that
he's paid. He's handsomely paid.
Yeah, he is. He will be $8 million per year this year and next year.
Only through 2021 they got him. So it would just be a 1-year deal.
Right. Oh, so yeah, it would be $16 million if we traded for him on a 1-year deal.
I think they got to take 7 of it. They have to take 7 of it because remember you're not allowed to trade away it's actually 8.5 that they would have to eat. That dead money would not count towards us.
Yeah.
So it would be a 7. He would be a $8 million player, which is not insane. But that would be a 1-year rental for a squad that certainly needed or could benefit from some help in the secondary. But even with the need for that help in the secondary, Cody, I just don't understand how that need outweighs the kind of need for future opportunities that come with a blue chip player. So you're sacrificing a blue chip player and you're missing out on that guy, whether it's a tackle, whether it's a corner, right? And you're pushing. So I just don't see how moving back really helps us unless they're talking about offering multiple firsts.
Well, I mean, for a team that's rebuilding, what sense does it make to take a 1-year lease on an expensive 30-year-old cornerback who, let's be real, isn't in the prime of his career anymore? So, someone make that.
Well, he's 2 years removed from being the NFL Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, but I mean, I think
last year struggled with COVID. He had COVID and some different injuries. Some of the
Patriots fans, they said that he took a step back last year. That's what most of them say. And in my opinion, the Panthers are rebuilding. We are a rebuilding football team. To me, this is counterintuitive. It puts a Band-Aid at the cornerback position. It only fixes it temporarily, and we still don't. There's a chance that we're still not going to come away with our franchise left tackle if we move down to 15, because more than likely Slater and Penei Sewell will not be there by the time we pick. You better be in love with Christian Darrisaw.
CK, what are your thoughts about the Carolina Panthers? Do you have any sense or feeling that we're going to be not picking at 8 on draft night? Because the party's at 7. We're going to start at 7:30. If we pick at 8, that means that the pick will probably come in around 9:30.
Yeah.
Maybe 9:15. Right? 9:20. And if it's later, we got to stay up forever. And the question is, guys, if we pick at 8, do we watch all 32, or do we take a nap at like 20?
I mean, I think we go until it's no longer interesting. So we'll like whenever that happens. I mean, the funny thing is this would remain interesting if any of the players that we thought were going to be top 10 players begin to slip, and until they're off the board, figuring out where they're going to go. That's going to be the part that's going to be interesting to find out. I think it's very possible that we trade back, especially being that the phone lines have been ringing for that. If they have 16 players that they believe that are, of the first round, of somebody that they would value with whatever pick they have in the first round, then if you trade back to 15, you're guaranteed to get one of those players you like, right? And that's something we were mentioning, and so I could see that being the case. If Justin Fields is there, I could see this organization having a hard time letting him go beyond 8. Like if you start to see him slip, they're not going to pull the trigger on anything until the 7th pick is already in. Until we're on the clock, there is not going to be anything done.
Why is Fields slipping, Cody?
So I was actually listening to Chris Sims a little while ago, and he did a mock draft where he had Justin Fields falling all the way down to 32, which is ridiculous to me.
He also had the Panthers trade him back and pick him Farley at 19, and the guy just had back surgery.
Yeah, I just did a film room on this channel about Caleb yesterday. Had 2 discectomy surgeries for a slip disc and a bulging disc. So he's had to have 2 of them. And apparently this is something that is going to cause him to slide. I don't know if it's going to, with the injury concerns, I kind of think Caleb Farley falls out of the first round completely, if I'm being honest with you, just because, and I said this on the show yesterday.
And he should, I think. Well, there's too many questions.
Yeah, and also, we're still moving out of that COVID area where teams are not allowed to have their own doctors run tests and checks on these players to be sure before they make $1 million investment in drafting these players. So I would think that he probably falls. But to Justin Fields, I think there's a little bit of concern about some of his throwing mechanics, which I kind of feel is a little bit overblown. But Chris Sims kind of broke it down in one of his videos, and he was talking about how his elbow, when it goes back to throw, his elbow points up really high. And that, even little shit like that might cause a talent evaluator to say, well, this is why his mechanics kind of get a little bit weird from time to time. I personally think it's all very overblown. I kind of think that there's something that we're not being told about in the media about.
Well, there is one other story. There is one other story floating around.
What's that?
That he has epilepsy, and that there's this, and it runs in his family.
Yeah. That's not a rumor. That's the truth.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah. And so, and then his past family members have, I think it's gotten better as they've gotten older. Right. So that is one of the question marks, I think, surrounding Fields is there's this kind of concern, and that's I find this one so funny. I wouldn't say funny. You shouldn't be like laughing at someone's health condition. I'm not laughing at him. What I find funny is like we're like, oh, dude's got 7 blown out knees and 2 back surgeries and this and that. It's fine, but man, a heart palpitation, I can't touch that. This kid, like, has he been sidelined because of the epilepsy in the past? Would be interesting. I don't know.
No, never. I mean, this is the first time I've ever heard of it. And I've been following Justin Fields since he was a top-rated quarterback in Georgia before he even committed to Georgia and then transferred to Ohio State. That's why I'm so surprised that this is like just now coming out. Like, I don't know why this wasn't put out sooner.
Because with college, I don't know. I think with college, they're a little more cautious to talk about.
They still have HIPAA stuff,
and stuff like that. So I think once they go into the pros, or start that, like, the kind of sense by the media is we can start to pay attention to everything. And dig deeper. And even though he went to Ohio State, is that he's still just a college quarterback at that point. You know, how many people are really writing about his medical history of his aunt and uncle, unless he's going to be a top 5 draft pick. I think I'm Justin Fields. The eye test just tells me he's got some special things.
Yeah, he definitely does. What I want to know is this: how many Panther fans are going to be livid if we do draft a quarterback? Like, it seems like just a few weeks ago.
Who would be livid, though? Like,
I don't think anybody would be livid. I think it would be tough. I think you'd be hard pressed to find anybody who's going to be livid. I think you're going to find people for sure. You're going to find somebody who's going to try to say something, offhanded about it. But I mean, the reality is we still have a question mark in Sam Darnold, right? It's somebody that I think we all are hopeful can do something, especially if he's going to be starting for the Carolina Panthers in 2021. But if he's not, I mean, I don't think we're going to be upset if we draft a quarterback that ends up winning the job over top of him. The hard part, and I think where people might get upset, is if Sam Darnold was traded for the future, equity that we got him for, with the 2nd round pick being the most important one next year. And he's not even on the team next year if we decide not to exercise his 5th-year option. At that point in time, I think that's when people would probably be more upset. But if they draft somebody in the quarter, and it's not going to be nearly as problematic as it would have been had they drafted somebody when, as a quarterback when Cam Newton was coming off of his MVP season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Lynn says she'd be unhappy. I know a lot of people are really
livid. I think there is
maybe livid was a strong word, but I think that contingent of Panther fans that would be like, oh, we really messed up our 1st round pick, adding another quarterback to our roster.
Yeah.
Did you see, and this is not about Fields, but this is some more, it's like a character slant, assassination slant. Like I think teams are putting this mess out there on purpose.
By the way,
trying
that's
to get things to slip.
Apparently something that happens more often than we realize, that people, all this backhanded political stuff will be slipped out as a way to try to get that player to slip down the draft
That's
board.
why people are doing this with Fields. That's why they're doing it.
So
right?
what is this article trying to
this
say?
This is all right. So this is ex-Giant scout offers critical take of Northwestern's Rashawn Slater, and this is so this guy, his name is something Verderosi. He is a former scout. He said he's listed at 6'3" and 315 pounds. He doesn't look very tall. He doesn't play long arms or even look long on tape when he extends his arms. So to me, to play tackle without length is to play on words is a real stretch. He goes on to say that to me limits where he can play. He then went on to say that I saw him play well in the run game at the 2nd level, reaching out and walling people off, but never saw him win the line of scrimmage in the physical part of the game.
Oh, my God, dude.
Listen, he played small and crossed his feet a lot, which is a no-no for offensive linemen, so that bothers me. And he goes on, he says, can he play guard? Well, you don't see him winning the line of scrimmage, and anchor. So how's he going to play against the 340-pound bull rushing defensive tackle? I don't know if that's really going to be a place for him, but he's such a good athlete, and he's so quick, and he moves so well. I've never seen him play center, but based on the 5 games I watched on tape, to me, that would be his best chance to move to center.
Dude,
character assassination, dude.
It honestly pisses me off that fuckers like that have a job getting paid to do this shit. And like, I don't, man. Like, dude, it's like, what the fuck are you even looking at? That you will not find one bit of film where somebody just bull rushes Rashawn Slater into the quarterback. Chase Young couldn't do it. None of the other Big Ten edge rushers could do it. And it's just ridiculous to me. Like,
that's where I think the Fields thing is kind of interesting. It's like it seems so weird. You know, it's like dumb. We're gonna his elbow's too high.
But like, what film are you watching when you're saying that he doesn't man up anyone at the line of scrimmage? Like, you have to be more blind than Joey the Blind Panther Esquivel, bro. Like, you're just trying to say something to either get him to drop or you're being inflammatory. I'm sorry, but that dude is a moron, bro.
All right. Don't forget to go ahead and smash the thumbs up button. Be a part of the show.
Shout out, Joe.
Call into. Hold on. You can. I've been saying hold on to myself. One thing I don't like about the StreamYard, I will put this out there. Criticism to StreamYard. I can't add a video and just put it in the queue. When I add it, it automatically starts to play. They don't have enough customization options on the back end.
Yeah.
And what we need to do is find a way to have OBS where people can log into the same OBS account and use that on the back so 2 people can control the back. All right. Nobody cares about that. Listen to the podcast. The number is 252-228-5098. We want you to be a part of the show. Go ahead and smash the thumbs up button. Join the longest running Panthers podcast. We're going to be hosting our 9th, 14, 15, 8th live draft party, where on Thursday night you can watch live reactions to the NFL draft from a Carolina Panthers fan perspective. We'll be doing some giveaways when it comes to what kind of position, so we'll have some things like if you're on the show at this moment, tell us what position you think is going next, or will cornerback or offensive lineman go next, or something to that effect. You're interacting in the show. You can come on and give your reactions at certain parts of the show. We'll be giving away T-shirts, cam wows, whatever I got up in the closet. And I got some cool stuff that I've been collecting over the years for nights like this. So that's about the plug for that. So let's go ahead and get into these cat calls and see what you guys got to say about the NFL draft.
Do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Yo guys, it's Nick from up here in Mass. So I'm just going to keep it short. Thursday is draft night, and quite honestly, I think in the first round, and probably if I had to put a number on it, probably the 4th round. Maybe again in the 7th, we should go for the O-line. Okay? All last year, we did defense in the draft, which it panned out awesome. And as much as I know we need a cornerback, at the same time, with the amount of resources we spent on defense last year, we would be doing a real disservice to the offense if we didn't beef up that O-line. For as long as I can remember, we've always said the same thing, that the O-line looked terrible. Now, this past year, it looked better than it has, at least by the eyeball test, as Mr. Professor would like to say. But no, in reality, I think we should spend at least 2 draft picks on O-line. I wouldn't be disappointed if we spent, even more on the O-line. So that way we had young bodies that, we can figure out what we had with them if this team actually would do that. Okay, because you guys heard my gripe all last season as to how we didn't play the players that we should have played just to see what we had. But keep it short. Love the show, guys. Keep on them.
I tell you one thing is in honor of last week's show, the 420 special, I say we give a triple scoop of offensive linemen in this draft. I wouldn't be upset if we went Slater in the first, found another offensive lineman in the second, and somewhere in the third or in the fourth, pick the center or something. So give me a triple scoop serving of that offensive lineman flavored ice cream.
Some interior offensive linemen I would love, man. Some Creed Humphrey from Oklahoma, Landon Dickerson, the center from Alabama, who's a beast. Trey Smith, who is one of my favorite interior players in this year's draft. Wyatt Davis from Ohio State. There's a ton of really good guys on the interior too. And I'll say this until I'm blue in the face, until the end of time. The unsung heroes of our 2015 season were Trey Turner, Ryan Khalil, and Andrew Norwell. And just being beast in the middle and giving Cam Newton a pocket to be able to step up into. I think, Sam Darnold is a very mobile quarterback. If we are to draft another quarterback, be it Justin Fields or Trey Lance, both of those guys are incredibly mobile too. So it makes it a little bit easier to defend edge rushers than it is interior pressure. I'm all in favor of building a dominant offensive interior line and just letting Christian McCaffrey and our quarterback just feast.
All right, 252-228-5098.
C3 Panthers Podcast. What's up, y'all? It's your boy Frito Bandito once again. I know I missed a couple of weeks, but I done just got out of my couch and found about $2.16 worth of chunk change. Hell, I think I might go to McDonald's and buy myself a large damn fry because this is victory, baby.
Hey,
but anyhow, I just want to say what's up to you guys. And as I sit here and strain my eyes watching this damn show of a thing they call Coco Melon with my daughter, I was just sitting here pondering to myself, with the number 8 draft or the pick in the draft, do you really see Carolina drafting back and trading that pick to the Patriots? And if so, what the hell are we going to do? Please, somebody, please give me some answers because I cannot wait till Thursday because if I do, I just might rob a bank or two.
Holy moly. Bang. Yo, Frito Bandito with the fire.
I have my theories about who I believe Frito Bandito is. I've got some theories. It's a
mystery.
It's a mystery. Trading back again.
I believe his name actually is Frito Bandito.
Yeah. I think when it comes to trading back, don't do it for any chump change in that couch cushion. That's the thing, is that if we trade back, I just don't want us to recoup the second that we gave up for Darnold. And that's it. Because I keep saying this, if we were the 19th pick trying to trade to 8, and we made an offer, everybody, and we came on this show and said, we need to trade up. We need to trade up with this. You know what everybody would say? It would take so much to move up 10 picks. So much. So you better give me so much. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Don't forget, the cat calls are powered by Volta. You can cut your cord with the energy company. Fixed rate for life, no money down. Contact Kevin Brown. You can find his contact information on the screen right now. And I'll read off the phone number in a little while. But our phone number is 252-228-5098. Let's keep going with these calls.
Hey, this is Kevin from Charleston. I just want to ask,
not Frito Bandito.
Do y'all think we should probably make a move for Julio Jones, maybe? Give up a late round pick for him, or maybe wait for him to get in free agency.
We do need to talk about
sign him because they're probably going to end up cutting him. That's one of the things I'm thinking about doing, or they have us picking a quarterback in the first round. I really don't want to. Like, I'd rather get an offensive lineman if they're available. But
all right, let's talk about it, man. We appreciate your call. Let's I guess names being associated with trades have been Julio Jones, right? Is that I think he's costing them like something like $25 million or $22 million against the cap. He is just he's getting paid this year, and I believe next year. I don't even think it's just 1 year.
Yeah, it's a really tough situation.
Yeah, and they are weighed down by his contract. They're weighed down by Matt Ryan's contract. And anytime you see these giant contracts, teams, we start asking, how do you shed these dudes from the books? You know, and what we found a lot is that releasing players, in the past, I always thought, well, you can't cut them because of all the dead money. Well, I also learned out it's just hard to trade them when you got all the dead money too.
Yeah.
Because the other team doesn't take on or they can only take on but so much of the salary. But a team looking for a weapon, Julio Jones is a guy that could go to a team and do what Stephon Diggs did for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Is that and you know who I think a great team to put him on would be?
Packers.
San Francisco with a new quarterback. Or, the Packers too.
Or maybe even a team like the Colts. I think just because what Stephon Diggs did for Josh Allen, maybe Julio could do for Carson Wentz. Listen, one of the things that I've been made aware of is that the Falcons are in cap hell. And when I mean hell, I mean like they might have an issue signing all their draft picks hell. It's like that kind of bad. So apparently all these other teams know this and understand this. So they're saying, well, they know for a fact that they cannot move on from Matt Ryan without having to pay him a ton of money, even for the next 2 years. So a lot of people are like, they might just want to offload some of those crazy dollars that they have on the books. And get this, the Atlanta Falcons have 6 players on their roster that account for $173 million this year. That's just 6 players.
Who is this?
The Atlanta Falcons have 6 players on their roster, and the 6 of them combined count for I think like $173 some odd million.
So that's obviously Matt Ryan and Julio Jones.
Julio Jones, Grady Jarrett, their left tackle, who I forget their name.
Wait until you hear Julio Jones's contract numbers.
Yeah, apparently it's one of the worst contracts that you can.
Not for Julio.
Yeah, not for Julio. It's the shit. But
Julio signed in now he was 30 years old, by the way, in 2019. Julio Jones signed a 3-year, $66 million contract extension with the Falcons on September 7th, 2019, which extended him until 2023. All right. So that's what it did. So it's not just 3 years from 2019. It was on top of what he already had. Jones received $64 million guaranteed at signing. Jones' guarantee includes a $25 million signing bonus, $11 million roster bonus, and his base salary from 2019 through 2021. If they cut him today, they would save $17.5 million against the cap. They would have $40 million in dead money.
Dude,
next year they'll be able is that when they trade, they're just going to have to keep Julio. They're going to have to keep him, man, and because nobody else is going to want to pay him $17 million in 2022, maybe.
Well, there's a bunch.
No, they wouldn't have to do that in 17. You're going to have to pay him $40 million no matter what, if you trade him or cut him. They have to. The Falcons. That's insanity. I gotta say this is that when somebody said, "What do y'all think about the Julio trade?" The first thing I didn't think was Julio coming to the Panthers. The first thing I thought was, "Hell yeah, Julio, get out of the NFC South."
Yeah, and they're not going to trade him to the Panthers in division. That would be their way of hiking the price up. So, by the way, you know that teams are going to have a benefit if they do indeed trade for Julio Jones. They're going to have the benefit of saying, "Listen, this guy is what 30, 31 years old.
He'll be 32 this year.
32, and all that money that is, guaranteed to him that we're going to have to take on, like they might just be begging to offload him." So, I don't see it being the Carolina Panthers, because then they could drive that price back up and say, "Listen, why would we want to do that and give one of our best players to a division rival and make him a part of your offense?"
Tin Tizzy says the whole division has cap problems, and I want to say that I feel like we're finally starting to get out of them. Is that right now it's just the Teddy Bridgewater contract that is weighing us down. Next year, the Panthers are supposed to be scheduled to have a bunch of money. At least that's what the people keep saying. So as as Atlanta's drowning, I think New Orleans is going to have – they never have to pay for their sins. They do the voodoo magic on the salary cap. Right, Tom Brady is giving them an unfair advantage in Tampa by just like playing for free at this point. And but the Carolina Panthers, I feel like, are paying off our debts at this point and starting. We'll have to watch what happens with the Moton contract, right? What happens with Brian Burns? We got some players on the horizon that we're going to have to either pony up, or see them later, right? So the Panthers are going to have some cap money going forward, hopefully. And hopefully we don't sign a 30-year-old player to a giant deal like this. Now, to be fair, Julio could be awesome for the next 4 years still. That dude is a beast, bro. He is. And I know he's always dealing with injury, but he was always dealing with injury when he was 25 too.
My thing is this, man. I really want to get younger. Like I'm tired of retreads. I want to draft the Panthers stars of the future. And
right. That's why I don't think Gilmore makes a lot of sense for the Panthers.
Gilmore. None of these big name players I have any desire for. And that's not to say they're not incredible players. They definitely are. I just think that we need to get younger. We need to get healthier, and with guys that can last a full season. And it'd be different if we were a few pieces away and we were trying to make a playoff push. Yeah, trade back for Gilmore, or go get Julio Jones. But that's not the case that we're in. I'd much rather just build up a badass, young, talented roster and continue to go forward like that.
Yeah, well, I think you're going to have to start thinking about allocating that money to the new stars of the era, and that being like guys like Brian Burns, Jeremy Chin going forward. At some point, like the new become the guys that got to get paid, right? If that we keep Derek Brown, if these guys keep playing like we think that they could be, we're going to have to pay some of them at some point. So there's no need to get stuck in these contracts for guys that when we need to be kind of having those funds allocated for that. And I think that, again, this is why I've been so anti-Teddy Bridgewater, is not because of the decision to part with Cam. I know I was salty about that. We're not supposed to say his name on the podcast no more, according to everybody in fan base. But it wasn't Teddy Bridgewater, the player, that was just so upsetting. We just have this kind of meh. The problem is that you can't. We only rented him for a year, but we paid for 3. It's like we went and bought a car at one of those lots that charges you the super high interest. There's no sense why do we do that? We just didn't have to do that. And you just don't want, and if there is a sin of the Marty Hurney era, other than there's, I guess, a lot of sins according to a lot of people, but in that first stint prior to his first firing was all surrounding large contracts, divvied up the positions and players that just didn't pay back. And while the running attack was so great with Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams, it was just allocating so much money to that position base. And you know, at that point, something like 40% of the Panthers cap was paid to running backs in 2011. It was insane because the cap was only $112 million, and both of these guys were getting like $20 million guaranteed. Like they were like $18 million players each. And so it's the length of that contract, and you want to be cautious going forward because you want to have funds, Cody, too, for when your time is there to go and get the Julio when it's right, or to go and get the Jadeveon Clowney, you know, whoever that you're going to be that 1 year rental to try to get you through. Or if you're going to go and get Diggs like the Bills, you got to have the cash when the market drops kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you just don't want to overspend at a point where it's not going to in some ways, maybe the Falcons overspent because what they are is that it was clear their team wasn't built to win at the moment. So, you know, when you're not winning, you don't want to be paying all these dudes a giant penny.
Now, to be fair, I think a lot of these contracts were not far after their 2016 season as well. Like, I mean, so at that point in time,
what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah,
they were still winning. You know, they were still.
You're right. No, that is a good point. Is that you got to pay the guys who got you there. And when you did look at the Falcons roster, I mean, I'm sure that they thought they had a much better chance of winning than turns out.
I mean, like on paper, like it looks like it's a great, like you have all the or at least you did, you know, for many years you had Devontae Freeman, who was a stud there for a while. And then you had, you know, last year with Gurley. I mean, you have the weapons, you have the firepower to make it happen. They just were missing the skill positions. Like they really were. They were missing the skill positions, the tackles, the defensive backs, in my opinion, they've been really struggling not having those. So I mean, they just haven't been a full team, and that's where it goes to show you that you can have a great wide receiver, you can have a great running back, you can have all these things, but it doesn't matter if you don't have an offensive line. It doesn't matter if you don't have a defense that's able to stop anybody. You know, it doesn't matter.
All right, let's go to the next call.
So I get a call from my wife at work yesterday, and she says, "You got a package." I said, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I do." I said, "It's going to be one of those kind of nights." And she said, "No, you idiot. I think you got a T-shirt that came in the mail." And I was like, "Oh, crap. Okay. So I get home, and I look at the return address, and I'm just like, what is this? And the return address says, "You Italian mother." And I was like, my man, Tony done the I just want to say thank you. Thank you. You guys are awesome. I am ready for the draft. I even went down to Lids today, picked up a new Panthers hat, and I'm ready for this draft. I was watching Good Morning Football at work today, and Trey Lance was on. Man, I just get more impressed with this kid the more I see him.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm probably going to get some hate for this, but if Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes had a baby, I see glimpses of Trey Lance. And I don't know. It's still a little too early to tell, but I think this boy's got massive potential.
Stop falling in love with people.
Even if that would make my draft board wrong if we picked up Trey Lance. And hey, let's look at Sam Darnold. He's got money that is backup quarterback money. So regardless of what happens, we have a really good backup if we pick up Trey Lance or Justin Fields if they're available. And we get that competition we need. We settle Tepper's nerves, and we can get on with this season. We can finally start building this team the way we want and get over this drama of quarterback frenzy. Let me know what you think. Draft time. Let's go. Smash that like button. Subscribe. Let's build this thing.
Asma, you heard the man.
I love Blake Bettis, dude. I love all the people in the chat room. I've become friends with you guys, and I haven't even met many of you in person.
We'll
and
we'll change that here hopefully this year.
you know what is Susan Dean's? We got Susan Dean's a neighbor on the PSLs selling them for $500, man. That's and she's like in the club level.
There's a problem with that. I love the seat. Like I love the seats. So it's 2 end seats, so they're not in the same row. Number one. So it's number 9 and number 10, or number 10 and 11, but it's your seat 1. So you're like, I can just give you a massage if you wanted to sit in front of me, like that type of seat. No, that's not as big of an issue. The issue is they're $2,000 a seat for the season tickets every year.
They're good seats, bro.
Yeah, that's for 8
and you
games.
Get to hang out with the rich people in the air conditioning.
And the air conditioning, that part is the most appealing part. And dude, I'm on the verge of selling this Doge and just doing it. Like I really am. Like I would love to. But the issue on top of that is it's $500, and then there's the transfer fee that the Carolina Panthers charge to transfer a PSL into your name. All that stuff kind of goes into play as well. But I would love to be able to buy those. I think from a logistics standpoint, it's so tough because I'd like to be able to take my son to the games if I want to do it. Yeah. But I'm not going to want him to sit in a row. If they were
side by side, it'd be easier to sell too.
I'm guessing that's why it's $500 a piece instead of him asking for something else, because you're going to have to sell them as separates. You're going to have to sell them as one as this and then another as this, because they're not side by side.
Don't forget, guys, Thursday night, we're going to be having the 8th live C3 live draft party. We'll be giving away some things. I've already started these giveaways in secret. I've been picking random people that call into the show regularly, as well as just follow on Facebook, YouTube, and you'll get a message from me sometimes, and it'll say something to this effect, like, "What's your address and your T-shirt size?" And then sometimes when I'm feeling good, I go into the treasure chest and I pull out a T-shirt if I got your size. And some of y'all, the sizes are hard. I tell you this, is I probably got is the bigger you are, the better chance you are getting a shirt from me. The smaller you are, man, I just like cut it off at the bottom or something for you. Let's just say I don't got many smalls in the closet, right? But I got some other cool stuff, and we'll be giving away a lot of fun stuff. I just like to have fun on draft night. It's one of the big shows. We do a fantasy football league when the year is normal. We didn't do it this year because COVID made it too complicated to think what if a game was canceled and the way our fantasy football league is structured. But so be sure to tune in on Thursday night. We're live on Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube, and you'll need to be active in the show to win stuff, right? So it's not going to be just like you get to mail in all the time, but there is a mail in right now. There is a mail in where you can email me at carolinacatchronicles@gmail.com your top 10 picks for the NFL draft on Thursday night. I'll need them before the draft starts,
too, right? They can, in our Discord. They can go in our Discord.
There's two ways. Yeah, there's two ways to enter.
A draft night giveaway. If you go under our text channels and our Discord, you can put your picks for the top 10. We're doing the top 10 picks of the draft, right?
Yes.
And whoever comes the closest, they're gonna win. So you can email Tony, or you can put your picks in the draft night giveaway text channel on our Discord.
I'm going to give you guys some more info about that Discord channel, because we're going to start doing something, and actually we're going to start doing it tonight. And I don't know, I've always wanted to try to make the show more segmenty to keep it on track, but I don't like making it like these forced cliche segments of 3 up, 3 down. So there's goods and there's kind of pros and cons to it.
Yeah.
Right. Of a lot of those different things. And I don't, I like the cat calls. We used to have some other things that we would do in the past. But one I do think that I'm going to do is let's see what's going down in the Discord. And in the middle of the show, we'll flip over and see some of the things that people are talking about in the Discord and put it up on the screen.
Yeah.
Kind of like popping over to Reddit and see what people are talking about. But
dive into the Discord.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Dive into the Discord. We'll be doing that later in the show. And when we do that, you can see where you can enter, how you can interact with Carolina Panther fans live all the time, share links, images, GIFs, crack jokes about the Falcons and all their dumb fans, and whatever you want to do is because you're just talking with Carolina Panthers fans live all the time. It's kind of like what Twitter is for me in some ways, because all the people I follow, because I only use the Cat Chronicles account for Twitter, but it's even cooler because it's just a live rolling chat room all the time. So be sure to, Blake Bettis, Discord deep dive. Dive into the deep end of Discord with the C3 Panthers podcast. All right, let's go to the next call.
Yo, guys, it's Nick from up here in Mass again. So, real quick, saw some of the quote-unquote potential details for the Pats trade if Carolina actually does it. And I don't know necessarily how I feel about it. I'm not necessarily against it, but I'm also not for it. I am for it in the aspect that there's a potential we could get a halfway decent cornerback. I'm not sure what his ratings are in comparison to the rest of the cornerbacks in the NFL. But he is coming from the Patriots, and it seems like people who leave the Patriots do not necessarily have the best luck elsewhere. Now, I know Tom Brady, Gronk, Antonio Brown just won the Super Bowl, but still. I mean, usually they don't have great success. And on top of it, you're talking about guys that moved with Tom Brady, one of the best, if not the best, quarterback in NFL history. You know, it kind of makes it easy to go somewhere else and be successful, especially if he's the one throwing the rock to you. The nice thing is, if we do trade with the Pats, we get the cornerback and we still get a first-round pick. You know, where we could still beef up the O-line, like my last call said, and it would fill a hole on our roster. So it seems like I've almost talked myself into it, but at the same time, I'd be happy staying with where we are at, unless if there's some crazy deal that the Pats work up, because this is also his last year. Next year, he is free agent. So love the show, guys. Keep up.
Tony, I was wondering, you think it'd be cool to do just a real fast, impromptu, not a full one, but just do a first round mock draft, or at least up until the Panthers pick, like at least up to pick 8, because I think it would be good for illustrating why the Panthers are in such a good position. And like we'll just do the first 8 picks. I think it would go by really fast.
Right, well, can you pull it up for us and do the sharing? And as you do that, I want to say, when he's talking about some things for, some things against the trade, one of the things what is it where a senator doesn't vote, like he shows up
abstain
and he votes absent,
votes absent or something.
Yeah, and I remember they used to knock Obama, and it means like they like, and they don't want to vote the bill down, but they don't like everything about it.
Yeah.
So all right, so Josh wants to see this mock draft, and I want to talk about, actually I got a cool thing I want to talk about while we're doing that. So go ahead, tell us, take over, bro.
Yeah, well, no, I wanted to bring this up because it kind of ties into the point that I was making earlier about Justin Fields, that not only could he fall to us, but we have so many different options available to us that benefit us. So I'm going to do this mock draft, just the first few picks, based on what could reasonably and is likely to happen in front of us. So let's just go through this. We know Trevor Lawrence is going number 1 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. This has been set in stone forever. We're going to go ahead and go with the common knowledge here and say Zach Wilson is probably the number 2 quarterback going to the Jets. Now, this is where it gets interesting, right? Because all over the internet, if you've been following Twitter, the rumors are that there are 2 quarterbacks in contention right here. And it's only down to 2 of them. It's Matt Jones or Trey Lance. And really, if you're the Panthers, either one of those is good for us. Because, I mean, if it's Matt Jones, it means Lance and Fields starts to fall. But even if it's Trey Lance, it still puts us in the scenario where now all the next few teams are not necessarily going to be so hungry for that quarterback. But let's continue, right? So, number 3, let's just say that all the rumors are true and they draft Matt Jones with the 3rd overall pick, right? Now we're here to Atlanta. What have we already been talking about with the Falcons? Julio Jones might not be on the team that much longer. So why not draft the best offensive player on the board? And even though he's a tight end, he's still the best receiver, in my opinion, on the board. So Kyle Pitts, that makes a ton of of sense for them. Even though, and I am interested in your guys' opinion on this, I don't think Atlanta taking a quarterback looks all that likely anymore. Knowing Matt Ryan and the situation that they're in with him, I used to fear the Falcons and what they would do with this pick. Now I don't. Now I really could care less. I mean, the only thing that they might do is trade out because that number 4 pick is going to be so expensive. But I'm not afraid of them taking any of the players.
How is it going to be? It's not going to be that expensive, though. They don't really get that big of cap hits for rookies. Well, what are the top 10 players or top 5 get a little bit more?
Yeah, but I think you'd be wasting 2 years of his rookie contract if they did draft him.
I don't entirely agree. I think it does make some sense for the Falcons to at least consider if they're going to have enough patience with this new coach and offensive coordinator to kind of turn things around. I don't think it's a 2-year window. I think it's a 1-year sit and then trade Matt Ryan in his last year, like you did with Stafford, to a team like a Rams that are trying to make a go after it, right? With a quarterback that feels close. That could be one option that could justify it. So I don't think it's entirely just outside the realm of possibilities. But the problem does come when you start to think about how much money they're allocating to certain positions and how long it's going to take them to get out of that. And they're going to need to have really good players in the hole coming up that are cheap at the same time. Tight end has been something that they've been trying to fix since Tony Gonzalez left. They had Gonzalez was playing when they made it to the Super Bowl, I believe. Right. So he seemed to be part of what made that offense like super awesome in some ways.
In 2000 and when? What year?
Wasn't he? Wasn't he playing still in 16?
No.
Who was there? So Ridley wasn't there yet. They had
Ridley wasn't there, but they had no.
So they didn't have a tight end. All right, maybe I'm okay. So I'm right.
I don't think Gonzalez was still playing.
That would have been 2016. I mean, it's a good look, but you're right. I mean, it might not. The point being is that if they take a wide, I was wondering here too, what if they took Jamar Chase? Right. But
that's a good point.
I think it's going to be a gluttony of riches, not even a gluttony of riches, but the fact is that they invested a lot in Calvin Ridley in the first round before, like at some point they got to allocate that position group in a different or player groups differently. And you kind of get the twofer when it comes to Kyle Pitts here, much like Kyle Pitts would benefit our offense, right? And they did get Austin Hooper last year or something like that?
No, the tight end you're thinking about was Austin Hooper when they went to the Browns. When they went to the Super Bowl. Now they have Hayden Hurst.
Oh.
They actually traded for Hayden Hurst, the first round tight end who was drafted by the Ravens. But
that's right.
I did want to.
Okay, so like they could move back. That's probably something that they should be considering.
And think how much the team might be willing to pay for that pick. Like it might be like crazy.
Well, if the Patriots, maybe that's what the Patriots should be looking at.
And I think the Falcons would probably be open to that. But okay, I would say just with the top 4, this looks like a pretty reasonable board right here. Like this looks very reasonable to how the draft might happen. And then to highlight Dylan Sheehan's comment, hard not to watch Burrow's tape last year and the Bengals not fall in love with Jamar Chase. And apparently that is the conversation amongst Bengals Twitter right now, is that they are in love with 2 players. And by they, I mean the Bengals and their front office. They're down with either Jamar Chase or Penei Sewell. Now, keep in mind, AJ Green no longer on the team anymore. So,
John Ross was a bust.
But right, it also shows you the tendency that they like the flashier first-round skill position players with their top picks. So, I mean, this is a perfect scenario for us, and I think it's reasonable to happen. I think the Bengals go Jamar Chase at 5.
Mm-hmm.
Now, look how interesting this is. There are 2 teams ahead of us. We know the Dolphins aren't going to take a quarterback. I don't care what you hear. They're going to stick it out with Tua a little bit longer, as they should. So maybe they might trade back, but more than likely, they're just going to take probably a receiver right here. Maybe a corner, a defensive player, but all the mock drafts have been receivers. So I think it's in their best interest to team Tua Tagovailoa up with his former teammate and go Devonta Smith. And now we're at the most interesting pick in the draft, in my opinion, because the Lions are the one team that everyone is saying, look, if you're a team and you know the Panthers are still in the market for a quarterback, you have to jump Carolina in order to go and get that player. So look, let's say the Patriots fall in love with Justin Fields and they trade up and try and take Justin Fields, then Trey Lance and Penei Sewell are still on the board for us, or vice versa. So that was for Trey Lance if the Patriots moved up. But even if it's Justin Fields, you know that now with this very realistic scenario, the Panthers are in contention for either Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Penei Sewell, or both of the 2 shutdown corners, Patrick Surtain and J.C. Horn. For the sake of this little impromptu little mock, we'll just assume that the Patriots move up, draft Trey Lance, because it's looking like Cam Newton's going to have to mentor a quarterback this year. All the rumors are they want a quarterback. And this is how the board would fall for us. Now, let's make this a little bit interactive. We're not doing a full first-round mock, but I want everyone in the chat room to tell me who you would draft right here with the board as it is. Right now, Justin Fields is still available. Penei Sewell, still available. Rashawn Slater, still available. Patrick Surtain and J.C. Horn, still available. So, Tony Dunn, as I look at the chat room here, what do you do if this is how the board falls?
All right, so I don't think it's going to fall this way, but if it does, I think that you really got to think Justin Fields. Like, I'm okay. Like, it's for me, there's only 2 players on this list right now that I want at 8, right? Or at 8. Justin Fields and Penei Sewell. There's only 2 I want. If those 2 guys are on the board and we go a different direction, I'll be disappointed. And more so if we passed on Justin Fields, Penei Sewell, and then picked Patrick Surtain, I'd still be more, is that if you come and tell me they like Slater more than Sewell, I'll be happy. You know what I'm saying? I'll just say, okay, I hope, I just would be upset if they didn't take any of those 3 guys and they picked Micah Parsons or But still, who would be the guy? Hey, Surtain. In fact, here, let's I'm gonna pop on over here. Let me just listen. You just listen to the small sound bite.
First defensive player off the board will
this
be
is
who?
Daniel Jeremiah.
Surtain.
To who? Dallas?
I just filed my last mock draft, which you're on this, right? Tomorrow night, you hosting this bad boy?
I will be hosting it Wednesday night on NFL Network. That is correct, sir. What do we
have?
It's 9 bells. I think it's 8 bells. 8 bells. Is that what 8 Eastern time? Wednesday night? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think that is right.
Okay,
I think that is right. I mean, we can't give away the mock, you know. So if you're asking me where Surtain's going to go, I have a rule about these things.
Yes,
okay, RHULE.
Very good, everybody. So that means Dallas will have to go shopping.
So Daniel Jeremiah is mocking Patrick Surtain here as the first defensive player in the draft. Isn't that crazy? The first defensive player of the draft isn't until 7 at most, or at earliest, or to a lot of people. And it's not. I thought that we had lived in an NFL that was ruled by quarterbacks and defensive ends and edge rushers, and there's not an edge rusher in sight. We're going to be talking about a little bit about that. All right, so
I think the chat room has spoken, Tony.
Sewell, everybody wants Sewell.
I think, yeah, and I'm surprised, man. We have a few. I see Swish 94. I'm on his team, man. I do not feel good about passing up on a player like Justin Fields, and especially to see him ball out somewhere else. But listen, man, I asked in Panther fans,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Is that well? I want to ask you this: what would be the worst possible thing that would happen if Justin Fields came to the Carolina Panthers in this draft pick? What would be the worst thing that would happen? And it would be that Sam Darnold turned out to be good.
Yeah, yeah, it turned out to be really good. And then in that scenario, you have two really good quarterbacks.
Or you start playing a lot of Justin Fields in the preseason. Then at the end of this year, maybe you find yourself in a moment where you're ahead in a game, and you can week 17, you can trot him out there, and he looks great. And then you're talking about at the end of the year trading people potentially. I mean, the worst thing that would happen is, I guess another thing that happened is that Darnold stunk like he has to this point, like so many people believe he will, and then you get Justin Fields to go in there. And what? I mean, you would say, that would be it. So here, I do want to bring this up as you're talking about this. They said Sewell, everybody's at Sewell, right?
Most people in the chat room are saying Sewell. I see a few Justin Fields. I see a Patrick Surtain. For the most part, I'm seeing tackle. It's either Slater or Penei Sewell.
Penei Sewell, the line. This is interesting. I like to, and I've been trying to find. I wish I understood gambling more, like when it comes to the plus money and the minus money and stuff like that, like how that just translates into odds and the payout and stuff. But so here's some interesting thing. Mac Jones, the line, and this is just on sportsbettingdime.com. I'm sure it's different on different sites. Mac Jones, the over-under of where he'll be selected is at 3.5. So if he's selected, if you pick the over and he goes after San Francisco, you win. If you pick the under and San Francisco drafts him, you win. So Mac Jones, the betting favorite at this moment to be the third pick, right? They're trying to put it right there to make your decision. Jamar Chase is 5.5. So what is that? Dolphins? Is he a Dolphin or is he a
Jamar Chase?
Bengal, right?
Yeah, he's a Bengal.
Yeah, but I know that's what we're thinking here. But if he goes, what number did he go here? So you would win this bet if you took the under, right? He went at 5.
Yeah, he went at 5 to the Bengals. Reunited.
Pitts is at 5.5 too. As well, Penei Sewell 6.5. So the question is, will Penei Sewell make it past the Lions? Will he make it past the Bengals? And will he make it past the Dolphins? Those three players, they're asking that. They do not believe. And I guess, and the Panthers, that's the idea right there. Is the Panthers are at, what, 7? No, we're at 8. Rashawn Slater's 9.5. Patrick Surtain's 10.5. Jalen Waddle's 10.5. Do you think Penei Sewell will be picked before or after the 6th pick?
I mean, see, the only real danger, again, we know the top four aren't going to be a tackle. We know that for sure. Jacksonville, New York, San Fran, and Atlanta. So the only danger is the Bengals. If they want to protect Joe Burrow's blind side or get him the receiver that he threw 20 touchdowns to at LSU. So, I'm really thinking right now that the Bengals would probably take Jamar Chase. So, that's a good bet for Sewell.
Here I'm at the lines, and it's got a bunch of different like sports books matched up beside each other. Here is the odds for the third pick. Right now, Mac Jones is the favorite. You bet $100. And here, I saw somebody, and homeboy Dylan Sheehan, you can explain this to me. So, so I saw somebody else saying it is, it's J-Dub. It's my boy J-Dub. Mac Jones is minus 200, minus 340, minus 250 on these different betting sites. So say you bet $100 and it's minus $200. You don't make, I guess you make less than your own money, right? Trey Lance is 150 at the third pick. So if he goes at 3, hold on, and somebody's gonna take us out. What's it? Who say take this hat off? A fraud. Who are they talking about?
Who cares? Don't worry about it.
Okay. Justin Fields, Kyle Pitts, all people believe that could go at 3. Here's 4th overall pick. People think it could be Pitts. It's Pitts, Fields, Lance, and Jones are the and then Sewell, because I guess they think that Jones is already going to be gone. The 5th pick is Penei Sewell is the top favorite. Jamar Chase is and then Kyle Pitts. The 6th pick looks like, again, the betting favorite Pitts. All right, so
I'm going to hit Penei Sewell on this little draft thing right here that we've done. And, man, Panther fans are desperate for that tackle, man. Willing to pass up on Trey Lance and Justin Fields if that were the case. Man.
I'm all for it, bro.
I'm surprised how many – and listen, I'm one of those people. But I am surprised how many people are like they're really bought into Sam Darnold. Like, but people have already
about that. I think it's less about that, and it's more about we're tired of having to complain about our offensive line. Like that's just been a huge. Like it's been almost a decade. We've had 1, maybe 2 good years in 10 years of an offensive line. Like, I mean, it's just.
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't think you could be upset picking the top tackle in the draft.
Yeah.
Right at this point. Is that, I mean, unless you just so believe, we made it so we could pick that. I just don't see Fields being there, but maybe he is. Maybe he's going to slip. But the Panthers, we have been saying build that wall. Yeah. And at some point you have to invest in the materials to build the wall.
Yep.
So is that I don't got a problem with us passing on Fields and going Sewell. I don't got a problem with that. I got a problem with us passing on Fields, Sewell, and Slater and going Surtain. I do. I just don't think that a corner. I think that's putting need above everything so much by drafting a corner that high. Some people believe the corners fall off. Could you tell us a little bit about that, Cody? Is that you believe there are 2 corners that are former pro football players.
They are the sons of former players.
Yeah.
Yes. Patrick Surtain, the second, and J.C. Horn, son of Joe Horn. So if you've been following my content online, on Twitter and just on this channel, J.C. Horn is my number 1 corner. I'm in love with that guy's film. Long, strong, rangy, good in press man coverage, good in press bail coverage. He's a really good zone corner, and he has those really fast, fluid hips that can flip really well. I think he has a much higher physical upside than Patrick Surtain. It's not like I'm trying to trash Surtain. I just think that Caleb Farley and J.C. Horn at their highest represent better physical talents at the position than Patrick Surtain. Not that Surtain's bad. He's probably the safest corner pick in this draft. But look, these are two really good corners. The top corners in this class are, I would say, a little bit better than the top corners in last year's draft. And those are some pretty, well-named corners. Jeffrey Okudah, AJ Terrell, CJ Henderson, who went to the Jaguars.
Oh, no, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that at all. Everybody said Okudah was the best corner they saw since Patrick Peterson.
It was 1 year, though. He's not hadn't completely written the story on him yet.
No, I mean, but he's dealt with injuries. I agree. He could be the greatest. What is the drop off though? One of the things when we did the ultimate YouTube collaboration with all the YouTuber creators to have the ultimate mock draft hosted by Panther Nation Podcast. One of the discussions that people were making is when you trade out of the 8 and you go back, what kind of drop in talent are you getting? And our conversations on the show focused on the drop from like a guy like Penei Sewell and Slater to the next level back. But what about this is that can you take us through that conversation when it comes to corners?
What you mean, like why they might fall? Like what?
No, what is all right? So you got these 3 corners that you kind of put as these top grades. You got Surtain as the safe. You got these other 2 that you think have this upside. They seem like the top layer of corners. But when those names are gone and the Panthers are back on the clock in the second and the third, what's the differences in talent level from there to there? Because if that's where the drop is, sometimes that's the argument, right? Is that if you can get a guy in the second who's really not that much of a difference than, say, Slater, right? Or whoever, there's a lot of people like these, there's different players out there people love and they think they could have some upside. But the thing is that there's the blue chip and then there's the next level. Where's the bigger gap between?
Well, no, and I think you're right. If the corners in the first round start to go a little bit later, it is because the depth this year really is deep. I mean, Tony, there's a lot of really long, really strong, fast corners in this year's draft. I mean, I think both of the Georgia corners, Tyson Campbell and Eric Stokes, are probably still going to be on the board. Both around 6'1", long arms, fast, a lot of interceptions. Asante Samuel Jr., who reminds me a lot of Dante Jackson, actually now about the same height, same speed. Then you're going to have guys like Kelvin Joseph and Ifeatu Melifonwu that are also these really high upside corners. So, yeah, there are going to be some really good players at corner available in the latter rounds of the draft. And this is a really good year for a corner. No matter what happens, I think it behooves us to come away with the corner no matter what, whether it be our first pick or our second pick. I don't even
care. I don't care. Yeah, I'm not even in. I want us to go Sewell in the first, Slater. Give me one of those dudes, and you can convince me about Fields if if he's there. I could be tempted. 252-228-5098.
Hey guys, this is Chuck from Elizabeth City.
What's up, Chuck?
I looked at what time it was and thought it'd be a good time to call you guys. I've been thinking about it all day. Kind of hard to concentrate with some of what's going on here where I'm from.
Oh God, I forgot about this.
But in saying that, I've looked at the Panthers in this draft, and I got to say, so many directions we could go. Normally, we have a player we're going to pick, or normally we know of a couple of guys. This draft could go any way. We could trade down. Don't see us trading up. We could be taking a tight end, much to your chagrin, Tony, and Pitts. We could take Slater, but if Sewell's there, we need to grab him. Hell, we could even take receiver, maybe even quarterback. I feel like, in my own opinion, it needs to be Sewell, and I think he's going to be gone. And if it's not Sewell, depending on who's there, I think if we can trade down a few picks, no further than 15, accumulate a couple of other draft picks, get a player we want, and go from there. Gonna try to call back in one more time for the show starts, guys. Just got a heavy heart right now. Take it easy.
Oh my Lord. This is Chuck from Elizabeth City. He tells us where he's from every time he calls. And it's a great caller, part of the show, part of the C3 fam. This is the national news. Elizabeth City, North Carolina, national news. Elizabeth City under state of emergency ahead of body cam release in Andrew Brown Jr. case. They set a curfew, shot in the back of the head.
Apparently now the newest update is that the Charlotte FBI is now open the case and they're looking into it.
Yeah, this is here is one other thing is the FBI has announced that it's launched a federal civil rights investigation into the incident. So
yeah,
I think that falls under the Civil Rights Act of 64, I believe is the one that's for. Anyway, that gives them, or maybe that's is like they kind of put in those legislations, like for particularly in certain states that had a history of these types of things. So good luck to the people. I don't know what the right words are. God bless. I hope that things get better. That's it. All right, let's go to the next call.
It's podcast. G. Cavassier.
Liar.
I just kidding. It's Blake B. Whatever. So, I was watching the Panther War Room draft party, whatever you want to call it. And some of them boys in there, a bunch of clowns that got me up in there cracking up. Somebody said, Dante Jackson's got the worst toes in the NFL. I was rolling. I think I was watching it by myself and laughed out loud, like a literal laugh out loud. It was hilarious. But, man, poor Cody. Man, I felt bad for you, man, because I felt so bad I actually went and watched this homeboy's tape. Andre Cisco out of Syracuse. Cody was pounding the table for this man.
And I was right.
After watching some of his, now, granted, I only watch highlights, so I haven't actually taken the time to watch the film, get the full perspective, which I know is a big problem with a lot of people looking at draft prospects. But from what I've seen at a brief glance, this boy's tough. He doesn't have that Jameis Winston vision. This guy's got good eyes.
Yep.
He's a turnover machine. He hits hard. He seems to find a way to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
So Cody, I'll back you up on that. I like Andre Cisco from what I've seen. Granted, he did play in the ACC, but hey, I mean, ACC is getting a little bit better at football year after year.
Yeah.
My big question though is, out of all the film that has been reviewed through the Cody War Room draft prospect grading, I don't know. Who were you most surprised with? Who really stood out to you the most that you think would be a great asset to this team? I know in the mock draft there's a bunch of offensive linemen, guards and tackles that I had no idea about. Looks like the offensive line depth is pretty good for this draft. So,
yeah.
By the way, let me hit you guys with this. Hit that like button, you mother. You know what to do. Subscribe to these boys. We gotta grow this channel. Come on, I'll pound the table for that.
Thank you.
Keep
Go ahead and
pounding.
smash the thumbs up button.
Yeah.
You know, look, we keep talking Panthers every Tuesday night. We've been doing it going back to 2013. Haven't missed a Tuesday. And if we do miss a Tuesday, we move it to a different day to make up for it.
Yeah, man. So one, I appreciate you looking at the players I was pounding the table for on the C3 Roundtable, which we're going to be hosting that at some point too. The whole point of that is to move around so everybody can, get some new subscribers, some new fans and stuff. So we're going to be hosting them on our channel probably after the draft, I'd imagine. That would be cool to get everybody's perspective and host everybody.
That would be great. A reaction show,
yeah, that would be really cool. And then as far as the player that kind of stuck out to me the most, I mean, man, there's so many good ones. Honestly, the player that I have a crush on that really the Panthers have no chance at drafting is the defensive end out of Miami, Jalen Phillips. Dude, Jalen Phillips is a dog, man. That guy on the other end of Brian Burns, that would be a freaking nightmare, bro. That guy has everything you want in the defensive end. I found myself just being really impressed by him. And then other than that,
what about that UCF corner, man, or a safety that can play corner too?
Yeah, safety. Yeah,
Richie
Grant.
Grant.
Yeah, I mean, so these are players that kind of came out of nowhere for me. So yeah, Richie Grant, that's a good answer. I think even Greg Newsome II, another player out of Northwestern, the cornerback, is another player that I really, really enjoyed watching the film of. Very fast, long, physical corner. Again, this is a very deep class at the position. So,
a lot of love in the chat room for Phillips. He's the best pass rusher in the draft. James S550 says, Swish 94 says Phillips is no joke. And Zero Chill, Phillips is definitely a dog. My computer is doing its thing again real quick, but hopefully I'll come back. Let's go ahead and play the next call. Let me know if you can't hear me, all right?
Yeah, you're fine. I see you in here.
Hey, guys, it's from Elizabeth City. Just sitting down thinking about this draft Thursday night. One thing we need to go our way. And, if Justin Fields is there at 8 and Sewell's not, maybe we take him. Maybe we trade him for a load of picks and trade down. But if we hopefully all the quarterbacks, but maybe Fields, I'll be gone by 8, even Mike Jones. Because if Denver's sitting at 9, I'm hearing Denver wants a quarterback. If Denver takes a quarterback at number 9, they're not going to want Teddy. And from what I'm hearing is if all the quarterbacks are gone, we get to 8 and Fields is left, and we can trade him for a bag and get a lot for him. Maybe Denver will have to draft someone else, but just maybe going out of the draft, they'll trade Bridgewater for like a 5th-round pick if we eat part of the salary. Beats cutting straight out, losing all the cap space for him, whatever. But it's just something to keep an eye on, guys, with Denver, because I'm hearing they're really craving a quarterback. And
yeah,
really no way anybody knows what's going to happen. So I just kind of wanted to bring that up.
Thanks, Chuck. It's a good point. We were bringing this up about trading partners and different that, and we mentioned the Pats. We mentioned the Washington football team. We did not mention the Denver Broncos as being a team that's been searching for a quarterback for a long time. We know that John Elway is not in charge of making these decisions anymore, which means whoever they pick might be good now. I think they're giving up a little quickly on Drew Lock, but I understand how it's just like maybe he can find another home and find a resurgence in a different way. Come in on some injury or something like that for somebody.
For Teddy Bridgewater, that kind of says that you're not really giving up on Drew Lock, right? Like to me, if you get Teddy Bridgewater and you're the Broncos, you're saying, well, Drew Lock has a much shorter leash than we intended. And if for whatever reason he fucks up, we have a backup plan in the form of Teddy Bridgewater.
Denver could be a team that's interested in getting to the 4 spot. I'm starting to wonder now is that if you are right, Cody, that the Falcons just can't take a quarterback, then you got to really think that the place that teams are trying to zoom in would be the 4th spot.
Yeah.
That would be better than getting the 7th pick and somebody, or I mean, like the 8th, or I guess us picking a quarterback. I think that I don't know if there's really a chance. Maybe you don't have to. Maybe the Lions, maybe you could say this.
Right now, the Lions are the biggest trade down candidate because even though you might want to get to number 4, like we're saying, if you look at the Falcons situation, no matter what, it doesn't necessarily look like they're going
that's a good point.
that they're going to take a quarterback. So then if you run through that thought experiment, then you go to the Bengals, they're not taking a quarterback. Then you go to the Dolphins, they're not taking a quarterback. Then you go to the Lions, and everybody knows that they just traded for old buddy, what's his name? Jared Goff.
Jared Goff.
Yeah, Jared Goff up there in Detroit. So everybody knows that the Panthers still might take a quarterback. If anyone moves up for a quarterback, in my opinion, it's either going to be an astronomical amount to trade with Atlanta, or it's for sure going to be the Detroit Lions at number 7.
Ooh, I think you're onto something. I like this. I'm buying this, or I think you are seeing how it's going to fall right away, because you're right. The Falcons, we know too much about them.
Yeah.
And we know too much about the teams right after them as well when it comes to the Dolphins and
I mean, you got to keep in mind the Dolphins. I think we still have a question mark on, at least slightly. Like if Fields falls to them and they traded out of 3, thinking that we're going to be able to get all this. We like Fields, we like Lauren, we like Trey Lance, any of those guys. But we're going to trade back in and try to get Kyle Pitts or something like that. But all of a sudden, now the guy that you thought wouldn't be available that late is now available, and you would have picked him at 3. I mean, now you've got that I know they're talking about that they're going ahead, with Tua, but I mean, it took them a while to come to that conclusion and make a declaration that he was their guy.
I fully support the call from the chat room for Blake Bettis' next call to be all a Bill Clinton.
But Blake, the chat room is spoken, and they said you have a Bill Clinton voice. I think Blake Bettis wants you to call in and say, I did not have marital relations with that.
I did not inhale. All right, next call.
Hey guys, it's Joey again, or not again. This is my first call.
I was like,
but
Joey,
I just wanted to know this. Is like, dude, I don't want no quarterback. Not this year. I mean, like Sam Darnold is like. I mean, I know that this year's loaded with quarterbacks, and Justin Fields might fall to us, but like, it's not like we're starving for a quarterback. It's not like we're still stuck with Teddy. I mean, we still got to pay him, but we've been paying people that don't play football for us for years, so that doesn't hurt much. But, like, no, dude. The only way I would go for Fields is this. If the quarterbacks, or not the quarterbacks, if the other players like Sewell, Slater, Pitts, those kind of players, if they're not there, because we need offense in the first round. Like, yeah, our linebackers were shit last year, but dude, we need offense bad. And that Parsons, no, I'm not taking him. Especially because YGM is on the team and YGM is involved in the allegations.
So is Parsons.
And even if, like, none of the players are there, well, if none of the players are there, I'm definitely taking Fields. But I'd rather have O-line. I'd rather have Pitts. But, dude, I think the Niners are taking Pitts. Just the whole Mac Jones thing is probably a smokescreen because, like, no, like, they're probably taking Pitts because George Kittle is like their Christian McCaffrey, but he's a tight end. And he was gone last year, and they're like, and so they're sitting there looking at Kyle Pitts like, damn,
they ain't taking no Kyle
George
Pitts,
Kittle
man.
insurance.
They
he might be
trade
just
up
as good
to the 3 spot
as him, if
Kyle
not better.
Pitts.
So yeah, dude, I think they're taking Pitts because the Bengals definitely should take O-line, but he definitely ain't getting past.
If you don't growl at the end of this call, I'm gonna be mad. I didn't cut off right here.
He definitely ain't getting past. Get past Atlanta. They need defense, but probably not the Bengals. Anyway, guys, excuse me. Yeah. Anyway, guys, that's all I have to say. Justin Fields at 8. I mean, dude, only if the players that we want aren't there. And if they are there and he's there at 9, then Denver's going to take him. We know that. Anyway, guys.
I gotta say,
he hangs up in the middle of his roar.
He gets cut. He doesn't hang up. He gets cut off by the time limit,
dude.
Because Google Voice gives you a 3-minute time limit, which I wish.
Jerry was jamming. By the way, the chat room noticed too. My man had some music playing in the background.
I hate that song. The one because all cop car. Whatever. It's like everything. I know this guy who hangs out at our watering hole, and he's like a regular with us and stuff. And he's like a bigger fella, and he knows that TikTok dance that the kids do to that song. And so every time I hear that song, I think of Jody doing this stupid ass TikTok dance. And my kids listen to this crap, like all of the pop. It's like all is playing in my house all the time.
You got to show them some good stuff, man.
Man, like anything I try to tell my kids is cool, they don't like. Right? So I don't even try anymore. I don't even like. I tell them, I say, you know what? I don't even like y'all, and then they think they're cool as shit. No, there's no way Kyle Pitts is going to damn San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah,
that would just be the biggest disaster of a move for any squad to do. I'm starting to, but I do think Joey raises an interesting question: is does Fields become more enticing if Sewell's gone? You know, and I think that the answer is yes. Is that because I totally get all of the people who support like, hey, is that you got to build an offense. If you don't have an offensive line, it don't matter who you got at quarterback. It's not gonna. It can only be so good. So I and we've been calling for that. So I would be totally content with pinning in Sewell, marking him down, and us moving on and not making this too complicated. He's gone though, and then you start asking, is Slater the same? And Fields is there looking enticing. I think it starts it gets a little bit more difficult.
So okay, two things here, and then I have to provide an update from the chat. Josh J Dub says, because you're pulling out vinyls like, I swear this is good music. Like you're trying to show your kids vinyls. That's hilarious. Okay, and then let's do a thought experiment real quick. Okay, Justin Fields or Penei Sewell? Who are you picking right now?
I'm saying Justin Fields.
Okay, Codizzle, what did you say, man?
Sewell.
Okay. Okay, Tony, I know your answer probably isn't going to change then, but if it's Justin Fields or Rashawn Slater, CK, who are you saying?
Fields.
Okay, so Penei Sewell, I feel like to a lot of people is the can't miss left tackle. I personally have Slater rated a little higher, but I can also understand the notion that with a little more time and refinement, Penei Sewell might just be too good to pass up on. Yeah. But that is interesting, like what player would cause us to take Justin Fields? I don't know, man. I really don't know. But we have another update. You need to find Chuck from Elizabeth City's next call. Pardon me, not Chuck, but former President Bill Clinton left us some voicemail.
All right.
Let me see again. It just can't. Just come in. And make sure I don't lose my order before somebody curses me out later.
Blake.
Hey guys, it's former President Bill Clinton. I did not have sexual relations with a woman. But I can tell you I'm a diehard Carolina Panther fan.
Hey!
I'd love to hear a Bill Clinton.
I love how he said, no, I love his statement. He said, I did not have sexual relations with a woman. Like he's full on virgin still. Like, I've never, nor have I ever.
Guys, it's former President Bill Clinton. I did not have sexual relations with a woman.
Oh, the woman.
But
The
I can
woman.
tell you I'm a diehard Carolina Panther fan.
You
Chuck
know, if
is
we know
awesome.
anything about Bill Clinton, that's a fucking lie. Man, so Bill Clinton will take down any mom. You know, so my mother and I can say it. There's a person in my life that may be semi-related to me who I've known for a long, long, long time. My wife and I go back to like when her senior year in high school, and I've heard just in passing a couple of comments about like, you know, how like, you know, is that women are interested is she always had a thing for Bill Clinton. And I swear one time that this Danny person said, if I got caught in an alley between Bill Clinton, I was like, oh my God. Oh
wow.
Oh, I know.
Hey man, he was a real lady killer back in the day. You know, apparently
dude, he still is, man. He's slaying more ladies today than half the dudes around.
Have you seen the picture of him and Elizabeth Hurley? Like they're at a dinner somewhere. And do you remember Elizabeth Hurley? She was in Bedazzled.
Oh, I know Elizabeth Hurley. She's my number. I got two women that like my
Lord.
two women, and she's one of them.
She's one of them.
Well, there's a picture of Elizabeth Hurley, and it's like her and Bill Clinton sitting at a booth together. And dude, she is just eye fucking this man. Like the way that she is looking at him, dude, it's my man was a savage back in the day.
Dude, he takes it. No, he's you better hold on to your ladies tight. He's like Gregory Isaacs, man. Just the ladies just come running to him. All right, next call.
C3 Nation, Panther Nation, Tony. You know what the fuck it is? This is your boy, fucking Josh from Mass. Showing up here in Massachusetts on some good pizza.
Oh, shit.
Drinking a lovely craft brew, a milkshake IPA from Flying Monkey Craft Brewery up here. Anyhow, man, it's draft week, boys. Shit. You already know. It's about to get wild. Because your boy took Friday off from work, and so did all his friends. We got a big dirty draft party. It ain't just Panthers fans. We're going to have, we're up in here in Mass, but it's still, we got a colorful crowd. We're going to have a Dallas fan in the house, a Chicago fan in the house, a Steelers fan in the house, some Patriots fans. It's going to be a good night of draft party viewing down here. And, if the time comes, I think it's been a while since the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only, the great Northern Panther himself has been on the podcast. You guys want to slide me one of them invites? I'd be glad to come on and
hell yeah, bro.
talk some either pre-draft or active draft nonsense with y'all. If not, that's cool. I know it's a late entry. I know, but it ain't the position of the great one to step on the potential time of those who have yet to be. Man, what to think of this draft, man? Let me tell you right now. My initial thought is it's the crazy thought, but it's not that crazy. Justin Fields is there at 8. Man, we taking Justin Fields. I know Sam Darnold, whatever, Teddy Bridgewater. Man, I don't care. We trade both of them guys for a bag of beef jerky. And just have P.J. Walker and Will Greer and Justin Fields. That's fine. Make P.J. Walker start. That's fine. I'm here for it. I'm all about it. But if we don't, if that's not there, and Fields ain't there, Sewell ain't there, you see what your options are. And if Fields, Sewell, and Slater are gone, man, you got it's. Trade back, but not so far back that it's costful. You want to stay inside that top 18. You want that top 18 mojo. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. It's Tuesday night, having some good beers, getting ready for the draft, and I can't wait to chop it all up with you all that night, either in the chat or live. But hey, your boy Josh from Mass, the Great Northern Panther, out.
The Great Northern Panther, who always is very critical of Tony Dunn hosting this podcast. We'll always have a spot on this podcast, man. Anytime, dude. And don't worry, we're going to be doing a lot of that and bringing people in. There is a limit with how many people we can have on StreamYard at one time, but it does make it easy to kind of shuffle them in and out. So if you guys are interested in making a brief appearance throughout the draft, like Josh has indicated, we'd love to have you. We've had people from the UK. My boy Jay Cryer, that's my brother from another mother. He's come on all the time. This poor guy, got to stay up till 4:00 in the morning to see the Carolina Panthers pick. Right, we got a lot of people. So, and we got the calls coming in. But yes, there will be live opportunities, like Josh said. If you are interested in that, hit me up on Discord. Don't forget, we got a Discord chat. Hit me up on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. Or you got to just remind me on draft night as well, just because it's going to be a lot going on for me. I'm going to have to continue to build. We need to build a list. That's what we got to do. All right, let's keep going with these calls.
Oof. Yo, it's your boy QT0 from Cali, man.
What's up,
QT? What's up, bro?
This is super simple, bro. The first, 5 or 4 is really just, set in stone, I feel like, to me. It's going to be, 4 or 5 QBs, getting off the board, probably even before us, if not right at us. But we should be fucking, going to sleep every night and putting positive affirmations, pledging to whatever religious God, whatever you believe in or whatnot, that we get your homeboy Sewell, man. We just need to just put out into the universe that everybody in front of us is going to go wide receiver Pitts or whatever. You know what I mean? That Rashawn Slater gets picked before. You know what I mean? Like some dumb mock draft shit. We need to be putting those out into the universe. Because the only person I really see us picking up if we don't trade back, you could maybe argue fucking Pitts or Waddle or Surtain. You could argue that, you know what I mean? But the for sure pick is your boy Penei Sewell if he falls to us. There shouldn't even be a second that flips off that 2 whatever minute set, between each draft pick. It should be instant. And I'm partying all night, bro. I'm partying all night. I don't even care about the rest of the draft. We got that left side just set up in stone, bro. It's a done deal, bro. We probably making it to the Super Bowl with the left tackle. You feel me? And if we get a safety in the second or third, like Richie Green or Cisco, bro, it's the cherry.
They got that good stuff.
Boy, zeros out, man.
All right, QT. I think QT0 brings up a great point though. Is let's not overcomplicate this. This is something that you have said, Cody Lashney, throughout this whole process. Is that while you have been a supporter of trading up, getting that quarterback, some different things, is that if we got a couple of options down to it, let's not overcomplicate it. Trading back this and that. If you're at 8 and Sewell's there, pin it in. Right. If you want to pin in Slater or something, we want to debate over that. It's really left tackle or quarterback at 8, I think, is what we do. And I mean, I just don't think Pitts is going to be there. So I don't even think we need to add him to the conversation. Great call, QT0. Check out his. I think he's dropping some music recently. I saw 252-228-5098. I think he's back.
Cody.
Nope.
Cody. Cody.
What up, bro?
It's your boy Zero here again, man. I just gotta let you know, not a soul in Panther Nation will be angry if we solidified our motherfucking QB or possibly the backup QB or just a QB competition in our team. Yeah. Who in their right mind will be mad? And yes, the draft is deep to get more linemen and whatnot, at least in the second and whatnot. So, and then interior in the third.
He's reacting to our earlier conversation. That's what these calls are. He called in and said, "You take Sewell."
We wouldn't have to worry about the 5th-year option on Darnold. It would just be the QB competition of the year, and Teddy Bridgewater's in 3rd place.
Yeah, he's not. QT0, thanks. Yeah, that's him reacting to obviously the Penei Sewell call came in as we opened the show up, and then Cody posed the question, what do you do if Fields is there? And really it is, and somebody said it great in the chat room, you kind of can't go wrong at 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout
All right,
out
let's go to the next
Fitter,
call.
man. Scott Fitter has done a tremendous job, I think.
Yo, it's your boy, Ron Conley, aka Sports Freak 28. Once again, another message of idea to hear about this on the time on YouTube through your live chat box. The trade rumors for the Carolina Panthers and the New England Patriots. Now, y'all think it might be a good idea if we do get Stephon Gilmore from the Patriots to move down to 15th? And the 15th, where can we go from there? I'm not saying what if we move down there and get more, saying what would you all suggest we do next? Like, do we go after a wide receiver, a tight end, do the offensive line, or go defense? Or do we pull a screw job out of the back here? I mean, a huge screw job. If we go after a running back, it's go over the other teams that want a running back to fit their needs. Because I'm thinking we need some help for Christian McCaffrey. Not to replace him, okay? Just help him out in the rushing games, in some sim games. I was thinking of maybe either a guy from Clemson or that Devontae guy from North Carolina. And you don't think Harris, the running back from Alabama, can be a receiving and a running back too? Or do you think we should just stick to our game plans after the trade goes through? It does, like, go offense line or defense line or corner, because when Gilmore would be a good addition. And then we can maybe go safety or defensive back to replace kind of all sorts. But I'm going to leave the rest of this up to y'all because I want y'all.
All right, man, we thank you for the call. I'm going to go ahead and get into it because there's kind of a lot to break down. But really, I think the centerpiece of the call is if the Carolina Panthers were to trade back out of the 8 spots, and particularly with New England, right? So let's kind of stick to that scenario, first of all.
Sure.
Is, because there are a couple of other ones you can say, Washington, some different. 15's interesting because Scott Fitter has first-round grades supposedly on 16 players. So you're going to get one of his players that he thinks is a first-round talent, right? It's inside that window, he says, in the first 15 or 16 players of the draft are the blue chips. And then after those guys, they're kind of all second-rounders in a way, right? The difference isn't so big. So if the Carolina Panthers are to trade back, maybe that's clearly because they don't want to take Justin Fields at that point, or Trey Lance, whatever quarterback slips outside that top.
Yeah,
whatever.
Either that,
right?
or either that, or we love a quarterback, but we're just not willing to turn down, the amount of picks that we might potentially be getting from the Patriots. So I think that's certainly
so if we move to
15.
Yeah, if we move to 15, right, you're talking about Surtain's off the board by this point, people would say. I thought Chuck brought a good point, is Christian Darrisaw is not going to make it past Minnesota at 14. Right, so like the names, all of a sudden we get a host of new names to think about. And would it be insane to pick Micah Parsons at 15 then?
That would be a range that would be much happier to pick Michael Parsons in. Again, we really need to kind of put it out there. Like Michael Parsons, dude, I hate Penn State coaches. I honestly hate them. Like when you look at the amount of talent that Penn State has had on their defensive line and just in their defense period, and how physically talented these dudes are, and how little technique Penn State players understand, it's ridiculous, man. Like you're essentially drafting all Penn State players for their physical upside. This is true for Michael Parsons. So I don't want people to think that he's going to come in here and be a day one ready to play inside linebacker. That man is still learning the quintessentials of playing off the ball linebacker.
Then he shouldn't be going in the first round period then.
Well, I mean, so his upside, if he can figure all of it out, he has a ridiculous set of physical traits and abilities. He might be able to do it, but right now he plays too much like a defensive lineman and not enough like a linebacker. He's always taking bad angles, picking the wrong gap. And yeah, Tony, you were with me in that film room when we looked at his film, and he's just so raw as a player.
It wasn't overly impressive. That's what
No.
I would say is I just didn't see a guy that I thought I'm not saying he can't be something special, right? But I didn't see a guy that all of a sudden that said that's a Luke Kuechly like player.
Right.
And no matter what,
White type player that just it kind of was an Isaiah Simmons type player where it's like, man, I could really see it could be something, but it's not perfect.
The problem is that any linebacker we take is always going to be compared to Luke.
Yes.
And that's going to be a tough thing to live up to. Like we, as Carolina Panthers, we have been horribly and in a very good way spoiled by linebacker play. And now we're in the midst of like a linebacker drought. Like it just feels like there is nobody hopefully we'll see something change. We'll see what happens in this draft. We'll see what some of these players are able to do with this defense seeming to start to come into their own with some of the acquisitions we've gotten in the offseason. But, it's a lot of question marks, but I don't hate the idea of a linebacker, but do I want a linebacker that's going to be a development? I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you for the most part. That caller also mentioned running backs a little bit. And I feel like that's something we haven't mentioned at all. Now knowing that Mike, I'm having a brain fart. The guy that played for us, Mike Davis.
Mike Davis.
We don't have him this year. And listen, I don't want to put this on Christian, and I'm not putting it on him, but don't we need to have a little bit of an insurance policy at the running back position should something happen at some point? If God forbid Christian does sustain another injury, maybe it would be a good idea to pick up a running back later on, maybe like a Javonte Williams, like the caller mentioned, out of North Carolina, or even a Kenneth Gainwell out of Memphis, who I like a lot too. So, there are options, and I do think it would be cool. I just in general want us to start drafting players from the Carolina schools. I mean, all of them. North Carolina, NC State, Clemson, even those damn idiots over there in Columbia, the Gamecocks, man. Even them, man. We can draft them. JC Horn's a Gamecock. I can be okay with it. But, I really do like the idea of us drafting Carolina players, and that would be a good pick for us.
What do you think is the appeal? Like, is it just for the culture itself that you would want to do that? Or do you feel like it's those programs are so obviously Clemson is established. You have, some of those schools. I mean, I wouldn't say UNC is super established from a football standpoint, but they're building. And so, I mean, do you think it's just from the culture? You want to be able to build up, like, listen, you have this entire fan base of Clemson, fans. You start drafting a lot of their players. Guess who they're going to want to watch? They're going to want to watch the Panthers. And let's be honest, there's still plenty of people in the Carolinas that aren't Panthers fans.
Don't draft them because the name on the helmet, Cody.
Yes, 100%. And
who cares? I don't care what team.
For the culture, I think. Don't you think it would be a cool thing? Look, our motto is 2 states, 1 team.
Yeah,
there are a ton of good schools and colleges here in the Carolinas that put out a ton of good football players. I just think that anytime we're able to take a really good player and also build that Carolina connection, man, that's like I like that building up of a true Carolina team.
School they went to. I don't care what school they went to. I just want them to be good. So man, like tell me the player from those teams you want.
Sure.
By the way, there are 4 running backs on the roster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs on the roster right now. Christian McCaffrey is one of them, obviously.
What?
You've heard of Reggie Bonifant. You've heard of him. You've heard of Trenton Cannon. He played a little bit last year. And Rodney Smith.
Wait, Reggie Bonifant's still on the team?
According to the website, he is.
Did we re-sign him or something? Because I feel like he was gone after.
I feel like when he was on the practice squad so long at one point, and there's a point where you have to they can't be on the practice squad anymore.
Oh, that's what it was.
I wonder if it's got something to do with that.
I
Because
think
remember, we let him go, we put him back.
It
and
was
then,
you can only take him
again last year.
Yeah, you can only put somebody on the practice squad so many times before you have to either
You have to sign them to a deal.
You
or
have to
something
dedicate
like that.
them a specific spot on the roster if you don't
He's
release
up there.
them.
I don't know how long he'll be up there for, but we just can't invest a lot when it comes to the number of the pick, right? And this is why, we tried to get some of these guys in the past, and then they didn't make the team. Jordan Scarlett was the
that's the one that names that comes to me. Yeah,
we're
that's
just
one that
gonna
comes to
have
mind.
to. We're gonna have to pick somebody off the free agents trash sheet, dude.
Also, what was his name? The guy who his dad was a boxer.
Elijah Holyfield.
Yeah, yep, him as well.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Andrew Holyfield.
That's right. All right, here, next call.
Wow.
Oh, he got cut off. He needed to make sure that happened.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Joey the Blind Panther.
Booyaka, 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 booyaka. Boom, 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 boom. Booyaka, booyaka. Hey.
What the
I'm the captain.
No!
Look at me. Tony, CK, Cody, look at me. I'm the captain. I'm the captain now. What's Gucci, fellas? Got a lot to talk about. I'm going to give you my top 5 picks, 1 through 5. We're going to start with number 1, who I personally want with our pick, Justin Fields. If Justin Fields is there at pick 8 and we don't take Justin Fields, I'm throwing liquor everywhere.
Dude,
I'm throwing it everywhere, fellas.
Imagine how mad you would be.
Patrick Surtain. Fellas, there's levels to this shit. I don't even see J.C. Horn as a first-round corner.
Baby, you better
He's
chill,
too
bro.
robotical. He's not a polished receiver, and he barely gets his hands on the ball. I feel like, in my opinion, picking J.C. Horn with the 8th pick would be the worst decision that we could ever make. I don't want J.C. Horn. Honestly, I have Asante Samuels Jr. ahead of J.C. Horn, to be honest with you, to be quite frank. And Caleb Farley, Cody, I'm not feeling him, G. He's had that back surgery he's had, that's the same broken back Tony Romo had. And if you're telling me that he's already done a second surgery on it before even entering the NFL, come on, bro. If you hurt in college, you sure in hell going to be hurt in the NFL. So I'm Gucci on that as well. Parsons, man, I'm very high on him. I feel like he can be the next Luke Kuechly. He's running a 4.39 40. That's pretty impressive. 6'3", same body size as Luke, being compared to Luke. I wouldn't be mad at that,
He's nowhere near.
Tell me what you guys think. And I wouldn't be mad with the Stephon Gilmore pick and then getting their first round pick 15. I wouldn't be mad about that either, fellas. So tell me what you think. You heart?
I'm gonna let you take your spirit animal. And by the way, booyah. Great call.
Booyaka. Shout out G, baby, man. Listen, I gotta keep it real with you, G. I don't understand how you could watch JC Horn and tell me that you see a better player in Asante Samuel or Surtain or whoever, but then in the same breath say that Mike Parsons has Luke Kuechly potential, bro. Not even close, man. Not even close. JC Horn has all the physical upside, all the aggressiveness, all the ability to pinpoint the ball in the air. I love JC Horn. I could not disagree with you more. But if we don't draft Justin Fields and we don't get a super fucking pissed off call from a drunk G baby, I'm going to be sorely disappointed, dude. And I mean very much so. So, G, don't disappoint me, bro.
Canes win. Storm Surge, baby. Storm Surge. Best team in hockey right now. The Carolina Hurricanes, man. At this point, the pressure's on. We clinched the playoff berth yesterday. We continue to advance in the standings. The goal now is to keep home ice advantage. through the playoffs as long as possible. They will be reseeding the playoffs in the second round, so it's good to be a top seed and to win in the playoffs. That turns out that'd be an interesting question, and we're going to talk about that this summer when we're searching for things. Is how do you make the playoff bracket for the NFL better? And I don't think they reseeded it. They reseeded it. They didn't change it last year in the COVID stuff, did they? But a reseeding would be interesting. We'll have to bring that up. So let's go Canes. Hurricanes, man. Bunch of jerks. Keep it up, guys. And let's keep going through with these calls. Thank you, G-Baby.
It's G-Baby. I forgot to give you guys my top 5. My bad. I'm over here cheaping. I would say Justin Fields. I would go – my top 5 would be number 1, Justin Fields. I feel like number 2 would probably most likely be Patrick Surtain because there's levels to this shit. I would say pick 3, man. I'm going to have to go Jamar Chase out of LSU, man. I would not mind having a motherfucker like that on the squad along with Christian McCaffrey and fucking DJ Moore and the other company. So Justin Fields, Patrick Surtain, Jamar Chase. Man, I would have to say I love Panay, man. The tackle out of Oregon. I feel like it's like I said, there's levels to this shit. I would not be mad if we got him. And my 5th pick, looking at this, I'm gonna have to go with Mekhi Parsons, man, because like I said, there's levels to this shit. So let me know what you guys think, and keep pounding, baby.
Holy crap, man. The Canes beat that ass, bro. 5-1. 5-1. Sebastian Aho continues to, I think he's at like 21 goals, 20 goals. The old man, Jordan Stahl, with 2 goals. Nino Ryder with another goal. Great season. Man, we're so deep, and that's with all these injuries. Any big qualms with the top? Well, what were your qualms with the top 5 before we move to the next goal?
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily have any problem with those top.
Oh, I wanted to ask you
5.
about Jamar Chase.
Yeah, except for Michael Parsons. And no, I did want to talk about Jamar Chase too. And I think that that's a player that we haven't talked about enough, weirdly enough. And I want to get your opinion and everyone in the chat room's opinion too. Is there any credence to the fact that Joe Brady, having been a part of this legendary LSU offense, could draft a guy that had 20 touchdowns in that exact same offense? You know, we also kind of take for granted that we haven't picked up DJ Moore's 5th-year option, although I do think we're going to, but we still haven't done it. We only have another year of Robbie Anderson. We just moved on from Curtis Samuel. Like a wide receiver that high really isn't that out of the question. Now, personally, my favorite route runner, my favorite receiver in this year's draft is Devonta Smith. I think Devonta Smith is a savage route runner, lethal down the field, 170 pounds, be damned. But Jamar Chase is a player that I could easily see the Panthers seeing as an upgrade even over a DJ Moore. I mean, Jamar Chase is physical at the line of scrimmage. Press man corners rarely ever shut him down. And he's a physical over-the-top threat that's going to come down with the football. So, you know, I think having a security blanket for Sam in the form of a badass wide receiver, dude, that might be the kind of player that we haven't talked about enough.
I saw him as a comp, not the who were we, Jamar Chase. I saw the physical comps, like somebody, you know how they do those next gen stats where they do that spider web thing.
Yeah.
And it was like he is like going back, like he has like the most athletic comps or something, like going back to Demaryius Thomas. They said he matches Demaryius Thomas, and the other one was who was the Cowboys receiver that always got in trouble? Yeah. That's what they were trying to. I don't know. I think it was Jamar Chase. I'm pretty sure it was either him or Waddle. Pretty sure it was Jamar Chase.
No, it's probably Chase because he's a stronger physical receiver. I do think Jamar Chase has much better hands than Dez ever did, and I do think he's probably a little
But
bit.
Demarius
fat.
Thomas did not have good hands, so that was something else.
No, that's a bad comparison to me.
God, it's going to be real tough to. It's just tough to allocate those resources right now. And I'm not saying it's not absurd, right? Like you said, is that you're thinking down the road, this and that, but it would be. It's one thing to say, how would Panther fans feel if we took down Justin Fields? It's another thing to say, how would Panther fans feel if we passed on Slater, Fields, and we picked a receiver? After, I mean, gosh, it's just going to be a tough sell. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, but I also think that if you're trying to pad that, well, first we padded the room in free agency a little bit, right? We brought in David Moore, who's a nobody. We signed this kid from BYU who runs real fast. There's another name I thought that something happened with a wide receiver. I cannot remember. But that room isn't just barren at the moment, losing Curtis Samuel. I just think that maybe it's like in the second, third, fourth round you can find something. It just seems like a lot allocated 8 to a wide receiver at this point in this stage in our team development. All right, next call.
What it do, boys? It's your boy Mike. AKA Supreme Leader.
Supreme Leader.
Oh. I'm trying to be extra loud right now.
Building.
I'm driving down this shit-ass I-85 right now in the tractor in the tractor with a trailer. I fucking hate this highway. Excuse my language.
Drive safe,
on the
bro.
way to Charlotte. But anyways, hey guys, hope everything's well. Psyched for the draft. Finally get to stop hearing people talking about, who the hell we gonna get. All I know is this. Tony. My man Cody.
What up, bro?
And can't wait to see you back, Bat Daddy. How does Panther Nation get on live on the show on Thursday night?
Let's do it, man.
I need to talk about that because I'm so down. I'll tell my wife, go eat a cupcake and fuck off because, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8th annual? Wait a minute. I don't know. I want to be live with you boys, whether that's 15 seconds, 15 minutes. I don't care. Make it happen for your Supreme Leader.
You got it.
Right?
You got it. We got 2 people signed up already.
I want no goddamn t-shirt. I want to be on the show with my boys.
I don't want no t-shirt.
I feel you, bro.
When he comes on, I'm gonna eat a cupcake while he comes on.
Bro, Tony, we might need to talk. We might need to check into a Zoom because we can only have 5 people in StreamYard at a time.
I know. That's why we're gonna have to rotate. Yeah. Oh, it's not 5, is it?
Yeah, you can only have 5 people on a stream on StreamYard. Like you can have more people waiting, but that's what I'm saying. We might have to do what Rashad and them did for the roundtable.
Well, we will go back to Google Meet because I ain't paying for no Zoom just because people think it sounds cool. So we would then have to go broadcast. The problem is this, man. Is this just so easily broadcast through Facebook, Periscope, and Twitter? You know what is that we can do? Maybe we got to figure out how to get this damn Discord audio channel working right too.
Yeah.
Yes, we're gonna bring people in. We're gonna have to cycle people in on draft night. That's just what it's gonna have to be. Even if we do it through Google Meet or something like that, we'll still need to do some cycling just because you can only have so many people, so many cooks in the kitchen type thing. But yes, everybody is going to be, we're going to bring you in, even if it's just for 5 minutes and we'll kind of have that rotating 5th seat.
Yeah. We kind of look at the draft show as your opportunity to come and like really chill on the show with us. Look, that's how your boy got started on the C3 podcast, man.
Yeah.
I joined in on a draft show. I popped in. Tony said, "Whoa, who's that handsome motherfucker?" And then, hey, the rest is history, man. I'm a part of this shit. Yeah,
I made him the dang co-host.
That was mine and your not the same year. I think it was the year after I came on the draft show.
Yeah, that is right. Hey, man, so look, you never know. You might fuck around and come on the draft show and be a permanent member of the C3 podcast, man. Who knows? So, yeah, we're definitely going to do some cool shit. I want
to need to do that is have a guest fan host that we rotate in. I like that. If you guys like that idea, you want to kind of like, and we can't look, is that the one thing is that the show is already ridiculously long, right? So adding too many voices can be problematic. The other thing is that I've had a long history of just asking everybody on the show the same question. Like, so it'll be like, well, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? I think we're getting better about that, about not everybody responding to every single thing individually. Yeah. That kind of took some time up. But, you know, there is some limits on how many just chairs there are to make it with the chemistry. You got to develop a chemistry. And not that, like, I'm even good at any of this. It's just that it's that we're not in the same. It would be different if we were all sitting in the same room.
Yeah.
Because you can read off of each other a little bit different and some different things like that. And then, you know, you've had some experience with like what to visually it looks like on, you know, you want to make sure your audio and stuff. And
we can see each other's hands and we know what's actually happening. Like we know, right. Okay, he's not touching himself. Right. This moment. Like,
yes, and then you don't have to worry about that weird stuff. And no, but the point is that like that would be cool to cycle in if you guys are looking for a guest spot on the show one week. Can't get it in every week, right? But maybe we can bring in some extras, a little takeover. All right, next call.
Hang on, real quick. We got
okay, Sam.
We got a little love bomb in the chat from Tyler Cunningham, $2. Which quarterback do you think the 49ers will draft?
Mac.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's going to be Mac Jones. I really do. And I'll put it to you like this. If they really trust Kyle Shanahan with the reins to that football team, then I do think it's going to be Mac Jones because he believes in his system over the player. However, I do think that if one of my favorite general managers, John Lynch, has his own way, I think it's going to be Trey Lance. Because I think what Trey Lance offers and the potential that he has to even further expand upon that Kyle Shanahan offense, I think that would be an incredible thing for the 49ers to do. And they have a great offensive line. And they have a great defense. Somebody said whoever the 49ers draft, like that quarterback is going to have the best year. Just because that team, like that's not a third
the most complete.
Yeah, that team is a team that was only picking at number 12 originally because they had so many different injuries. So that's a good roster, man. Whoever goes to that football team, that's going to be a quarterback that's in a position to thrive.
I think that's the most accurate.
I think my vote's Fields. I think Fields goes at 3. And I know that the rumor mill has swirled more and more associating Lance as their. So it's been reported, it was either Albert Breer or Adam Schefter. They reported that, Mac Jones was the number one, I guess, by Kyle Shanahan and the coaches, but there was a strong kind of push and voice in the front office for Trey Lance, and that voice had gained more steam with the coaches. That's what the report said, or something to that effect. I'm going to say this is I think it's Fields, and I think it's Fields for this reason is I think that I'm not buying the Mac Jones. We had, there's been a lot of praise for Mac Jones' ability to dissect coverages and this and that, and
there's been convincing praise.
Yeah, there is. But the one thing I don't like about that is that if you're picking Mac Jones because he's just pro ready right now, rather than what he could be, then that's kind of disappointing for Mac Jones. That's like he's already hit his ceiling in a sense. Like, is that he's just got to be super smart and I just don't think that, like, why can't these other guys ultimately be? They might not have that experience, that capability at the moment. Maybe they haven't had to have been, right? But with the good coaching, as long as you don't feel like that's going to be in the way, right? Is that they can learn the game more. He can't get faster and stronger.
The thing that I would say real quick, and then I'll pass the mic, is I don't think the praise on Mac Jones is that he's just the most pro ready. It's that it sounds like he understands the game of football on a much more instinctual level than the other candidates that are possibly going to be there at 3. So like I said, again, Mac Jones could very well come out and be just a complete bust, or he can come out here and just be the next coming of Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or something crazy like that. You just never know with these guys. But there is one thing that I think we all can agree. The one thing that makes quarterbacks just elite is their brain. It's not just their arm talent. And we didn't get the brain with Teddy Bridgewater, right? We don't have that feeling like he knows how to manipulate defenses or anything like that. But when you look at the people that you're putting in that category of some of the best quarterbacks, Peyton Manning understood football on a whole nother level.
Yeah, but
Tom
was
Brady
also super gifted too. You know?
But I mean, again, I think a lot of the gifting,
and Tom Brady didn't understand it then. That's the other thing is Tom Brady didn't understand it when he was a 6th pick. He doesn't just all of a sudden this guru of football. I just think it's strange when you're like, the reason all the picks, everything I've heard about the reason you're picking Mac Jones is because he's ready for the NFL. That's the only thing I've heard. I haven't heard that like there's like this other potential upside, and I just think it's kind of shade. I don't trust it, and the reason I don't trust it is because one is that Trey Lance, we've only seen him in a certain situation, so I'm not ready to count him out and say he's only 20 years old. Like he could become the next damn Tom Brady intellectually when it comes about the football game or something. Justin Fields really has only played 1.5 years, right? And we know that Ohio State's offense is like asked him to do certain things rather than other things. My point is, I just don't buy it. I don't know. And my final point is why I don't think that Mac Jones should be will be the pick for the 49ers is that Kyle Shanahan is the guru of running. He descends. He comes from a lineage of a family lineage of people that understand how to build a running attack that nobody can stop. His dad did it in Denver every year. And by the way, let's not forget that John Elway's success also came with a 2,000-yard rusher at 1 year. Some of the other thing, but he did it again when he went to Washington with RG3. And then he did it again when he went to the Falcons. Well, now it's the son doing these. Then he goes to the Falcons and he does it with the Coleman. And he's done it every single way. He's done it with a running quarterback. He's done it with a non-running quarterback in Matt Ryan. And then he did it last year with no quarterback. That was the greatest impressive. The most impressive run was last year and the Super Bowl run where he was able to develop a running attack when everybody knew they were going to be running the ball.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like I just don't understand how Kyle Shanahan wouldn't be drawn to the idea of a quarterback that adds another layer to that run game.
I think you kind of answered your question. Looking at what they did last year, they have openly said that they don't like how often Jimmy Garoppolo gets hurt. And they have had other backup quarterbacks.
That's just because he's made of glass, dude.
Right, but my point is they've had other backup quarterbacks step into that position and had a reasonable amount of success. So Kyle Shanahan feels like, well, if I know that this system is going to be, easy to a quarterback, not necessarily easy, but it's friendly to a quarterback that knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Look at the quarterbacks that he's been successful with before. Switch 94 says and brought up a good point. They drafted Kirk Cousins the same year they drafted RG3. Before Kirk Cousins left Washington, there was all the rumors that Kyle Shanahan was going to try and get Kirk Cousins. I mentioned this to you guys a few weeks ago, and everyone wanted to jump down my throat. But Kirk Cousins, Matt Ryan, and Mac Jones are all the same mold of a quarterback for me. At their highest levels, they are going to play football the same way. They're going to operate their offense efficiently. They're going to take shots downfield when they have the opportunity to, but they're also going to run the hell out of the football. And when you do
I love hearing this. I hope he goes three.
You don't need a quarterback like that. So even though it's not the move that I would make, you can't blame Kyle Shanahan for, in my opinion, picking the quarterback that is similar to the quarterbacks that he has had the most success with.
The problem with that, though, is where I would agree with that, the push that they made to get to 3, what they had to give up to do that was way too much. That's basically you saying, that's way too much for a quarterback like Mac Jones. I mean, I think that like I said, I think it's very possible they love him and they're going to go with him. But like, if we truly believe, and if they truly believe, or anybody in the league really believes that Mac Jones is Kirk Cousins, then I think they wouldn't have made that pick, right? They would have pushed it off.
I agree.
They would have gone down the line and got that person in the 2nd or 3rd round. They could pick that. I mean, they could have gotten a Kirk Cousins in the 3rd line. I mean, at the position that they were drafting at before they traded up.
Tony,
how many times have you said on this show, Cody, that this is a new NFL where a mobile cornerback gives you something that is needed in this NFL?
Yeah, and I still believe that.
I don't like this. As I understand, Swiss 94 says this. I remember Mike Shanahan saying back then that Kirk was their pick and RG3 was Dan Snyder's pick. I would like to remind that at this point, Kyle Shanahan was just making his bones. So it's not like he was in there, I think, the one making the decisions. And it says, imagine what they think now after seeing RG3 break down. RG3 was Rookie of the Year, but he also was a fragile-bodied person in some ways.
Yeah.
Maybe you could say Justin Fields is, but I don't think. I think like what we've also seen is what people wanted RG3 to be. What they want, they've seen that kind of come to fruition in Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson, some things like that. Is RG3 was the problem with him is he was just a one-hit wonder. And then he got a terrible angle, and he wasn't like Schneider love. It was a mess. I have to tell you this, and I can't believe we've gone this long without mentioning it. And Tony, this is going to make you hate him even more, I think. You realize his name is not Mac, right? Are you ready? It's not Matt Jones, is it?
His name is not Mac.
Is it MacGyver?
No. It's
McDonald?
so much worse. His name is McCorkle.
McCorkle Jones?
His name is McCorkle Jones. Dude.
Oh, I like him even more for the 49ers now.
Dude, it's
McCorkle Jones.
You cannot draft a McCorkle Jones?
If your name is
Alabama?
Dude, if your name is McCorkle, you're off my fucking.
How did we not know this? And how is not everybody writing? You know what, guys? I will never ever call him Mac Jones again.
No,
from now on, McCorkle.
I knew that, and that's why I told you. Because I knew that from now on, he will forever be McCorkle Jones. Dude,
I love the McCorkle hype that's brewing. And you know what? God bless the San Francisco 49ers if they draft McCorkle Jones. God bless them.
My God. I really hope they say his name on draft night, too. Like, I hope it's not just Mac Jones.
With the 3rd pick.
McCorkle Jones.
San Francisco 49ers pick. McCorkle.
Dude,
McCorkle Jones.
If my name was McCorkle, You bet damn well you'd be calling me Mac also, bro. I would have you be calling me Mac.
How mad are his parents that he was born? Like,
Bro, it's such a I don't know why is it such a nerdy name. Like even saying it.
First of all, it sounds like a last name.
It sounds like a kind of name. Yeah, it sounds like a kind of fish. Oh, that's a McCorkle fish.
Or his favorite. You know what? What do you think? What do you think his PE credit or his athletic class he took was in college? Snorkeling. Snorkel McCorkle.
All right. Duh. That's his favorite thing.
Slight reach.
All right. Let's
Everybody loves snorkeling classes.
Great show, by the way. Great show today. I don't know how many times I could fucking call in without getting annoying. But
he's having a good time, brother.
That boy could be running 4th and 1 fucking stunts like Lamar Jackson all day long. And those 4th and 1 problems we'd have wouldn't be a problem no more. So I wouldn't be mad about that at all. And really, that would be like really the whole situation of a lineman. Anyways, to be able to control the fucking short down or just control the line. So if we had a Lamar Jackson there on the rookie contract running in there every 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, and we become that football team that don't really use 4th downs for special teams, fucking to be some serious shit. You'd have to give some real fucking brownie points to the homie Rule for running a game like that. So it all matters how far it goes.
Yeah, thanks for the calls, guys. A lot of calls for offensive linemen. I'm trying to think of McCorkle, like what McCorkle makes me think of. Like, wait until if he turns out to be great, he's gonna in San Francisco, he's gonna come out with his own brand of McCorkle weed.
The chat room is fun. Chuck says, "Welcome to McDonald's. May I take your order? Yes, I'll have the large McCorkle, please."
What about this? Have you seen Zach Wilson doing all the he's got a bowl named after him at Chipotle?
No.
He tweeted out a Chipotle ad. So imagine if you went into Chipotle and they named it, you could get the Zach Wilson or the McCorkle Jones. I'll take the McCorkle bowl, please. All right. Let's see.
Dude, I can't believe that we've actually gone through all the calls and it's only 11:35.
Dude, I'm not taking any more. They're done. We're done with the calls.
We might actually get out of here on time. Maybe.
First of all, we got out last week. You had to go get your teeth worked on, pulled.
This is not fun.
We got out of here at 11:15. It was like the earliest show we ever had. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
I did have a couple of last things.
Good when I leave, huh?
It was good. Yeah,
how it is.
It was definitely good. Better.
I did see. I saw a tweet, or not a tweet. I saw a report that Scott Fitterer said there is a quarterback they loved in this class,
and that's all he says.
Right. But the reason I bring it up is thinking about that is, who is that guy? Is it Fields or is it some of these other names? Is Kellen Mond, and there's been some other names that, I felt like Rule liked a lot of some guys at the Senior Bowl or something.
Mac Jones.
Yeah.
He liked Mac Jones.
I don't know who that is. Who's that? Never heard of him.
Jones. I'm sorry.
Oh, now that guy.
He liked
I've
McCorkle.
heard of him.
McCorkle. I'm so happy I told y'all about that. Oh, that's such a good thing. By the way,
what do you think he names his penis?
Oh, McCorkle.
His big
McCorkle.
Or McCockle.
Oh gosh. Okay. Ugh. That one went too far. All right, I didn't want to. Let's do a little.
Is that like Barry McCockner?
Gosh, yuck. All right, going too far. Here, I got this. Hold on. I got. Where is my sticky note at? All right. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is real quick. I wanted to think about some of our past draft picks, And just think about this is kind of here as I went through and I picked what I thought were our best offensive players we've ever drafted. The number to the side right here was the round they were picked in. All right. So what I want us to do is put these in order of the greatest offensive draft pick that the Panthers have made to the least great, right? Best to least. And I think this one is actually I think this is an easy list for me, the offense.
Can I give you my list first, just because I know everyone's going to fucking hate it and not like what I say? Okay, so are we ranking them 1 through what? How many do you have there? 8?
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
All right, 1. I'm sorry, dude. I'm going Cam Newton. And Cam Newton is just for me number
Cody.
1.
This is Cody.
Yeah. Number 2 for me is Steve Smith. Number 3, I'd actually go Musa Muhammad. Number 4, I would go Christian McCaffrey. Then I would say Jonathan Stewart.
Gross.
Then I'll say Gross, and then I'll say Williams. It was tough between Gross and Stewart. But
are there any names, chat room, that you feel like should have been on the offensive draft picks? And I'm going to do this is I am going to flip-flop these right here. I think Steve Smith is number 1. If I'm going to do this list, I'm putting Steve Smith number 1.
Yeah.
I'm doing Cam Newton number 2. Here's the reason for it. All right. And this is hard. Look, I think Cam Newton is one of the most probably he's my favorite, one of my favorite players ever played for Carolina Panthers. But 1 is Steve Smith had a longer career. 2, I think this is you get bonus points if you turn out to be in the argument for the greatest player in team history and your 3rd round undersized dude who just could have been one of the greatest. If he would have been on better teams at point, he could have been even better. He was a Triple Crown winner, right? So he got the most yards, touchdowns, and receptions in a season. That's insane. He did that with Jake Delhomme, and that, but not to, and Jake Delhomme was pretty good in some ways, but I think the 3rd round pick and the longevity of his career, I think should put him to number 1 here, but it is close. Cam Newton to number 2.
I would put Musa Muhammad. I would put him at the bottom. I like him as a player, but I don't think he was as
he
impactful.
had a ton of. Let me just look up his stats real quick.
He was, but when I look at the impact that these players have, he was never considered in the top 5 receivers in the NFL, right? He was never done. Christian McCaffrey was always done that. Steve Smith has done that. Gross has been in the top 5 conversation of left tackles while he was doing his thing. I would put him. So
he had 1, 2, 3 1,000-yard seasons for the Panthers. He had 62 career receiving touchdowns. He got 1,400 yards in that 2004 season.
Yep.
I think I agree with you for this. Is what I would say is that he wasn't the best receiver on the field.
No.
Smitty was at the time. So I can. All right, so you want to put him? You want to put him underneath D'Angelo Williams?
I mean, I think here's the problem I have. Here's where I would tweak this. Number 1, I thought D'Angelo Williams was a better running back than Jonathan Stewart.
I like that. I'm not going to fight you on that. I'm not going to fight you. I would put him ahead of Jonathan Stewart too.
Yeah.
See, I'm a petted bitch, and
I know. That's why.
After all the shit that D'Angelo Williams has said and done,
I know.
Dude, just fuck him. I can't.
I know. Trust me. I'm right there with you. I don't like the idea of bringing him higher under this list, but it is for what he was as a running back, he was definitely better than Jonathan Stewart. I also would say Gross was more important than both Stewart and D'Angelo Williams. So I might put Muhammad under Gross and then put D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart down at the bottom of that list.
I feel like I might be too low on Jonathan Stewart, dude. Jonathan Stewart has the most rushing yards of any Panthers running back ever.
But the problem is look at the history of running backs. Like, I mean, we've had good running backs, but we've never had running backs have.
I don't think he has more than
Yes, he
D'Angelo
did.
Williams.
He passed D'Angelo Williams.
But again, you got to remember that was over a longer career.
No,
there was this one at one point. D'Angelo Williams had the most 70, or was tied for the most 70-yard rush, 70+ yards rushing, like one
play, yeah, big chunk plays,
like in the history of football. At one point, I like that. I think it's kind of hard for Jordan Gross to stick out on this list. I know this isn't like, look, I'm using sticky notes. I know this isn't the best way. I'm gonna go Steve Smith, Cam Newton. I think Christian McCaffrey is kind of at the 3-4 range.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's
one more season.
Yeah, it's Jordan Gross or Christian McCaffrey at 3. Like Jordan Gross was such an incredible left tackle for us over his tenure here. It's so hard for me to say he goes anywhere else other than that position. It was so hard. It's, as we know now, it's so hard to find a left tackle, and he was a staple on this offense for so long.
Bro, y'all really not gonna want to hear what I say about this next group.
All right,
y'all really not gonna like me.
Oh gosh, what do you mean? Yeah, because you're not gonna give Pep any love, and then we're gonna
no,
say,
I am, but I'm gonna give it to the player.
All right, let's see. Let's rank defensive draft picks in the history of the Carolina Panthers. Right now, your choices, listeners in the chat room as well, and you get to also throw in any names that we could potentially make this list. But here, for the listeners, this are your choices right now. Julius Peppers, Luke Kuechly, Mike Minner, Dan Morgan, Chris Jenkins, Thomas Davis, Chris Gamble, Mike Rucker are the names I've got on the greatest defensive players drafted by the Carolina Panthers. Go ahead, Cody. You said we're not going to love it.
Well, all right. So for me, Luke Kuechly is number 1. I mean, I think that guy is a Hall of Famer just in the 9 years that he played here. 8 or 9 years. Then, and look, I'm willing to do shit different, and I just don't give a damn. Number 2, I'm going Thomas Davis, man. That 1-2 punch in the linebacker core. Dude, I love Thomas Davis.
I do too.
I mean, look, Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis defined my love of Panthers defense, right? I know that's not the popular answer, but I love me some Thomas Davis. Then I'll go Julius Peppers, number 3. Then I will go Dan Morgan probably wasn't on the team enough. I'll say Chris Gamble, number 4. Then I will say Dan Morgan. Then I will say Chris Jenkins. Then Mike Rucker. Then Mike Minter.
Your thoughts, CK?
Oh, number 1, I'm fine with Luke. Like me and Cody have had this discussion with Tony about the greatest defensive player in Carolina Panthers history. And, we want to pull up Julius Peppers' stats as a career, career sacks and everything like that. But the problem is he made a decision to leave the Panthers and spent the majority of his career elsewhere. Yeah. So I don't think it's fair to say he's he had a great first 4 years, whatever it was. But he left. And then he came back and he was a fraction of the human that he was when he was here for that first, stint. So Luke has contributed more on the front for the Carolina Panthers in that respect. So I like Luke number 1. I think we have it's so hard because I love a lot of these players. I'll give some love to Peppers at number 2. I'll give him number 2 love right there. Dan Morgan was an all-around better linebacker than Thomas Davis. He just didn't have the same longevity due to injury. So we have that issue. But because of that, just because of the reason I put Luke up top, I'm going to put Thomas Davis at 3. I'm going to put Chris Gamble at 4. Dan Morgan at 5. Mike Rucker at 6, Jenkins at 7. I don't know. Maybe Mike Mentor at 7 and Jenkins at 8. I don't know. That's. I'll stick with that.
Goodness. Okay.
All right. Oh, wise one. Give us the definitive list.
I want to just look up a couple of things.
You
Kuechly was all pro, first team all pro more than any player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He 2012. Look, I'm gonna say this I'm gonna say that Julius Peppers is number 1. And now I will give you an argument. Like, if you're gonna not like him because he didn't play if him not playing his entire career in Carolina excludes him from being number 1, then we got to revisit like what we're trying to do, ranking the greatest draft picks, right? I do understand your argument as Luke Kuechly gets that all first team all pro. He's like 5 of them. Pep only had 1, 2, 3 of them. Right. But look, is that Peppers was on a different level, dude, of players. And for those 6 years, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So he played for Carolina for 8 years before he left. He had I bet he had just as many as look at this. He's had 11 career interceptions. Luke Kuechly has had, where is his interception?
But you're looking at his career. Like, we're talking about the greatest Panthers.
Yeah, Panthers.
That can't be right.
Talking Panthers.
Yeah, we're talking about the greatest Panthers.
He had 18, but he's a defensive end who had 16 interceptions, dude.
But guess
Julius
what?
Peppers finished his career. No, but as a draft pick, dude, listen to this. His first year, he came in and played only 12 games, dude.
And he was incredible.
Had 5 forced fumbles. He had 6 pass defended. He had an interception, and he had 12 sacks in 12 games. He had 11 sacks in 04, 10 and a half in 05, 13. Right? This dude was just dominant. I understand. All right, so I give you this, is that if you want to put Luke Kuechly as the greatest defensive draft pick, I won't go crazy, but I'm going to go Peppers, Kuechly. And then this gets tough here.
It's tougher after this. Like, the margin of difference between these guys are so small. Like, it's just.
I think I like Mike Mentor here.
Yeah.
Y'all bugging.
No, Mentor was so good, bro.
Thomas Davis, man.
Thomas Davis was good, but he wasn't.
Thomas Davis was instrumental to our most vicious defenses.
He was very good, but again, like by himself, without a Luke, he was never like he was still good. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to shit on Thomas Davis, but the reality is, number one, he was drafted as a safety. He was never an elite safety.
I just want to give you this one stat, is that Mike Mentor had 125 tackles in 2000. Holy shit.
That's a
125 combined tackle. No, so I like Mike Mentor here. Then I go Thomas Davis. Then I'm going to go Chris Jenkins, Chris Gamble, Mike Rucker, Dan Morgan. That's my order.
Okay.
Mentor, because he's our best safety we've ever had. Julius Peppers, he's our best defensive we've ever had. Luke Kuechly is the best linebacker we've ever had, period. And Chris Gamble's the best corner we've ever had.
By the way, a lot of love for Beeson in the chat room, who people think you should have included.
You know, and which is really, Beeson, the fun part about Thomas, not Thomas Davis, John Beeson, thank you, is that John Beeson was head and shoulders the better linebacker above Thomas Davis until the Thomas Davis comeback. The irony of all of this is that Thomas Davis was the fragile one, and John Beeson was this dude that was like basically Luke Kuechly before Luke Kuechly. And then all of a sudden it flip-flopped. Thomas Davis becomes durable for the next 4 years, and John Beeson gets hurt, and we drafted Luke Kuechly, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah.
All right, so I did put the last category right here is busts. The
This is
biggest
gonna be
bust in Carolina history. And I think there's only one number 2 up here.
Where you got Vernon Butler on?
Oh, he's on the notable list.
Oh.
This is the notable list, right? Because they're not top draft picks. Vernon Butler was a 1,
but a late one,
first round. Everett Brown was a second round pick. Frank Alexander was a 4th. Joe Adams was like a 4th or a 5th, and Armani Edwards is another 3rd or some 4th or something like this. But I think this is that we should probably all say consensus bust is Ray Caruth number 1. I think murder, hire murder for hire puts you at number 1 bust. And he was actually killing it as did not mean to do that. He was nope. He was doing pretty well in his rookie year. And then all of a sudden he fell off. Or not fell off. He went to prison. Number 2.
Did you put Kelvin Benjamin on that notable?
No, he's on the full list.
Yeah,
he's got to be. Thank you. Yeah, he's got to be up here, and I think that he's going to be at the bottom of the list because he did have one good season. So I think that he is not up here at the top. I mean, Ray Caruth to me is a consensus. I think Chris Winkie and Dwayne Jarrett might have been a 2nd round pick actually. Jason Peter was a giant bust, and he turned into a drug addict on the team. He was a 1st round defensive end from Nebraska in '99. That was supposed to be awesome. Fantastic interview I did with him on you can find on CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Where's That Cat Now? With Jason Peter. I spoke with him over an hour and a half about his book and his experience, Hero of the Underground. It's an awesome read. It's a scary read. It is a really candid look into what happened in this dude's life, which was awful. But he was slated to be a great football player, never had injury before he got to the NFL, got a back injury, and then got hooked on everything to the point he was eating 70 Oxycontin a day. Like, it's wild. So I guess I'm going to put where do you think he goes? Yeah, I think that, all right, so I'll put him at the 2 spot. I'll put Chris Winkie at the 3 spot.
I wouldn't put Bianca Batuka. I wouldn't put him. I'd put him near the bottom with Calvin.
I agree. So if we did this, if we were just arranging them in order, it's going to be somewhere. I mean, probably here, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think you move Caruth to the 1 hole.
Yeah.
But like my thing is this: like Caruth is more than a bust. He was just a fucking piece of shit. Like like bust to me.
Yeah.
When I hear bust, like okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. You all know.
Well, isn't that what you're gonna say about Kevin Benjamin too? He was just a fat fuck.
Well, okay, but he also didn't arrange a hit on a woman that had his fucking unborn child in her stomach. Like to me, he's not even a bust. He's just terrible. That could have,
but I would say it's a bust on that front. Like it's a bust. We spent a 1st round draft pick on a guy who ended up not doing shit for our organization.
But like, is Aaron Hernandez a bust? Was he okay? So like
but he was also not a first. If he was a first,
but he was also a good player. See, you're gonna have to tell me this. Like, was Ray Caruth ever a good player? Because just straight up, I have no fucking memory of this dude.
Well, because you were barely even born, dude.
You just love saying I was barely born. But
Ray Caruth was these stupid Charlotte Observer. Ray Caruth was. He was only a number 27th overall. So let me see. And he did have a good rookie year. Hold on. I'm looking it up. Come on, baby.
Look, I'll say this. You guys are more of the historians than me. I'll just say it to you like this. Ray Caruth, outside of him just being a piece of shit, I will always have Kelvin Benjamin as the number 1 bust. that the Carolina Panthers have ever drafted, because
that's just recency bias, though.
Well, no, it's not just recency bias. It's because he it essentially ended the prime of the best Panther player that we've ever had in Cam Newton. Like, people, I will remember this till the day that I fucking die. It was in the end zone. Cam Newton threw up a jump ball. Kelvin Benjamin would not go for it at all. The ball gets intercepted. Cam Newton runs all the way back down to try and save the play, and ends up landing bad on his fucking shoulder. And that's what caused Cam Newton's injuries from then on out. So it's like, that was the end of my favorite player's time in Carolina because of the laziness of that fucking dude.
Well, to be fair, I again, that's your argument.
He had
Ray
1,000-yard
pointless
season
as well. Then, like, that exact same argument's the exact same argument we're making for Ray Caruth. Like, you're saying that because he did these other things, he just didn't play well. He had a good first season. I mean, we got to remember that. I mean, we were all up in arms about him. He was coming back. We were super thrilled about his 2015, and then he got hurt. And then we were kind of devastated at that point. We had nothing. Like, I mean, we loved him after his first year. Like, we loved him. Like, his highlight reel was unreal. But
Ray Caruth's most yards in the season, well, he only played 3 seasons, 545 yards rookie season. I would remind that in 1997, that was a lot. 4 touchdowns for a rookie for a slim build. He was fast. I will accept moving Kelvin Benjamin up the list some.
Yeah. I mean, I like him as a player.
That he had a good season. He had one very good season to his rookie year where he had over 1,000 yards.
He was over 1,000 yards, but like, his biggest thing was his highlights looked awesome. Like, he was Randy Moss and people left and right. But other than that, like, he was only having to do that because he couldn't run his routes. So, like, I wouldn't even say he had an incredible season. I just think he benefited from a quarterback that could get the ball over top of defenders' heads.
Yeah,
all right. For me, number one bust. I'm gonna say that actually I'm gonna put this as my number one bust, and that is Chris Winkie.
Yeah.
We drafted him because he won the Heisman. He was 30 years old when we drafted him. To be a quarterback, and he could not throw it more than 8 yards. You want to talk about we make fun of Teddy Bridgewater's arm. Chris Winkie's was awful. He got beat out. He was 30 years old and a rookie. He got beat out by a 40-year-old Rodney Peete. How does that even happen? Like, you look young. Rodney Peete made you look young, and you still got beat. I will not accept Jeff Ota as a bust. He was a good player that got hobbled by a foot injury. So is that?
And that's still a bust. If injuries derail your career, that's still a bust to me.
Well, then, okay. Then Tim Biaka-Batuka goes on that list as well. Here were notable mentions for busts. I was trying to think of some players that I hated. People hate Everett Brown. I don't think that's fair because they blame because we traded up for Ota the year before, and we didn't have a first-round pick, and then we picked Everett Brown, and he didn't work out. Right?
That's a little bit unfair. Yeah, he was a second-round pick.
Everybody acts like he was a first-round pick, and he wasn't. Frank Alexander was a beast. What is it? Chocolate Wonderland on Twitter. Is Willie P. Is that he always loved Frank Alexander, and then remember he was smoking the weed. He just kind of sucked, like as in working in camp. Oh, here's another one.
I mean, that wasn't really
another second-round pick, so I don't want to go crazy. Like, so I'm not.
Yeah, but my man was damn near a Super Bowl MVP.
Well, you can say
damn near a Super Bowl MVP.
That Kelvin. I mean, well, yeah. I mean, he was. So I think that's why I put. Look, Armani Edwards. I think Vernon Butler would be really on this part of the list right here. Mm-hmm. If he didn't find a spot in Buffalo and seemed to be still finding a way to salvage his career. Greg Hardy's another notable up here. David Geddes, he was the 6th round pick though. That's a good reference. I mean, is that, man, he could have been great. Where it looked like he was another guy. He had no hamstrings. No hams. I think Dwayne Jarrett is one of those. He turned out to be so dumb. Like, I mean, he's like the dumbest player in the history of Carolina.
I think Vernon Butler is a name that
deserves to be up top.
Yeah, but the fact that Dave Gettleman drafted him against his own rules, like you're supposed to never shop hungry, don't go into the draft just saying, oh, I have this one need and I have to fill that need. And that's exactly what Vernon Butler was at that time.
We didn't have a need then. We had Star and KK.
Right, but if you remember the context of that, we hadn't yet signed K1 Short to an extension. And we didn't know if we were going to. So Dave Gettleman essentially drafted Vernon Butler as an insurance policy in case we didn't re-sign KK Short.
All right, let's do our quick dive into the Discord section of the show. Look, you can go.
Well, hey, my headset's about to die, so I'm probably going to jump off here because I'm not going to be able to hear you anyway. I'm just going to say real quick, my ice up is to McCorkle because that name... Because that name is just too good for me to not ice up. But all right, later, boys. Peace and love.
All right, man.
Find me on Twitter at Cody Lack, CODYLAC. Final mock draft on Draft Deck tomorrow. Check me out. Later, boys.
Peace. So, guys, take it easy, man. Thanks for being a great part of the show, and don't forget to follow Cody's work at Cody Lash on Twitter, and he's got all the stuff coming up for Draft Tech. Now, look, Discord and somebody, I think it was J-Dub who was making fun of my age, saying I pulled out the dang vinyls and my kids. You know what? Kids today, if you pull out some vinyls, you gotta be cool, man. You'd be like, hey, you got some.
I know it's a little different,
right? But so some things is that this is a live chat room that's rolling on. There's a cool mobile app, and what we did is we created a space where Panther fans can come up here and chat with other Panther fans about anything Panther related. So what the name of the text channel is Carolina Panthers Chat. You can find the C3 Panthers podcast server, right? And you can find all of this stuff. And man, look, I'll have people call me up and they say, look, it's like, hey, we'll get in the voice channel and just start talking when news breaks, right? Right? They'll just hit me up and then people can just jump in. Anyway, deep dive into what was it? What was your suggestion?
Diving into the Discord.
Dive into the Discord. Here it is. Panther fans that were interested in this CBS Sports picture right here. It says the best and worst teams at drafting all pros. And the Carolina Panthers are tied for first in league history with all pros. Luke Kuechly. I wonder if they count, is it individual players? It can't be how many times they were all pro. So Luke Kuechly is one of these. Julius Peppers, Steve Smith, I know is going to be on that list. Cam Newton's going to be 12 players in the Panthers' short history as a franchise have been all pros. And then the interesting thing is, look, as Mile High Panther says, basically people started talking about Marty Herney is that how can we not have a better success rate as a franchise and have that many all pros? So immediately people started asking about, look, if we go down the Discord things that we talked about tonight, the Falcons entertaining trade offers for Julio Jones potentially. So you can go to this Discord right here and keep up with the latest Panthers news and opinions as it break. And look, Drew L jumped in there today at 2:15 and put up this story about the Patriots and the Panthers working on this potential trade. So this Discord is where it's at. And one thing I did not get to ask Cody about is his thought about the Orlando Brown trade to Kansas City. What does that tell us about the draft class? We'd love for you guys to jump in there into the Discord and be a part of our ongoing conversation. The other thing is that when you go into the Discord, you can do this on mobile. You can do this on pretty much any device, your computer and stuff like this. And what you're going to do is look, K. Lude put up his top 10. Number 1, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Penei Sewell, Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, Rashawn Slater, Devontae Smith, Patrick Surtain. Look, these are people who have already entered the draft night contest. This is one way of you putting in an entry for that. What we're going to do is keep up with who got the most picks, and the tiebreaker is the order, right? So pretty cool. Dive into the Discord now. CK, do you got an ice up pick for us tonight?
I mean, at this point in time, I just don't know how you do anything other than McCorkle. Like McCorkle Jones. I'm sorry, you got ice up, because that's now going to be you're never going to be able to go by Mac Jones anymore, because nobody on the internet, on any forums, on any social media will ever be able to go by anything other than McCorkle anymore. I'm sorry, it's done. You're McCorkle Jones, and I'm sorry you're having to deal with that. Ice up.
I had a couple of interesting ice up picks. I feel like myself could just be the ice up pick every week. And if you lived my life, you would understand that.
Yeah.
My ice up pick is getting frustrated with buying shit and taking care of shit that I should be blessed about. Right. And what I mean by that is I got this beautiful home. We got this big project going on that's probably going to bankrupt us, that my wife is founding on putting in a pool.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's going to bankrupt us. But I'm always worrying about the loot and this and that and getting mad about stuff. Well, I've been cutting down these trees in my yard. In fact, one of the reasons I haven't had any guests lined up this week and a little bit behind when it comes to planning out some of the things for the draft party is I've been working my ass off for things around the house, getting it ready.
Yeah.
And over the past week and a half, I've cut down 6 trees.
All right.
And these trees they're not the giantest trees, but if you come to my yard, we've taken out 15 trees or 16 trees total since we've moved into this house 6 years ago. Some of these motherfuckers cost over $1,000 a piece to get the professionals come in. So I cut down 6 trees, one of them probably being about 30 feet tall. Right. I mean, they're kind of big. They're big process.
Mm-hmm.
I've effed up these chainsaws like crazy. I've destroyed my father-in-law's chainsaw. Then I went and tried to fix it, get all these blades. I've wasted all this money on it. Should have just gone out and bought this big Mamma Jamma. So I go out and buy this big Mamma Jamma, damn $450 chainsaw. And within 15 minutes, the thing is fucked up beyond belief. I was so pissed and so infuriated. I mean, I was losing my shit. You know what I'm saying? I went from being angry to depressed to fucking ready to take my shotgun and shoot this mug.
Mm-hmm.
All of these things. I hate these small. Anyway, I was able to sleep on it, take a break, get some advice. The guy at the place helped me. I worked through it. I worked through my anger issues, and I cut down another 25-foot tree today. Had some problems again. Took a deep breath. So what I'm icing up I'm icing up the immediate frustration in the midst of plenty. And, I got all this wonderful shit and I'm complaining about my $450 chainsaw.
Yeah.
That I will have to pay over. I did charge it. So anyway. So ice up. Ice up. First world problems.
First world problems, right?
How is the streaming coming along? You look wonderful in this 3D world you live in.
You love it? You like it?
It's pretty nice. Your camera work is pretty top notch.
Did you see the picture I put on Twitter?
No.
That I took of my son? This camera's insane, bro.
Oh, it's that. So that's from the camera?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really nice. But yeah, I love it, man. It's fun. It's nice to be able to do that. I'm gonna make some movies. I'm working on doing cinematic stuff with it now. I'm gonna try to do little things. And I would honestly, and this is gonna take some planning, but I would love to be able to get us together and do film and then actually create a proper intro video.
Yes.
For the show. And have it be that B-roll where we're all hanging out and I just take videos of us you guys might be talking and chatting and laughing or something like that, or or something along those lines. Just just some cool stuff that I hopefully we can put together. But that's going to take some planning to get us all together to do that.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. All right, looking great. Where can they find your work at?
You can find me pretty much on all social media platforms, Codizzle Allen or Codizzle_Allen, just depends. Just not many people have Codizzle Allen as a tag, so you're going to be able to find me one way or another. But yeah, guys, go give me a follow.
Adam Sanders says we're doing this at the Patriots game, and I agree. That's one place we will be doing this and continue. We'll continue to try to catch up with trends. We got CK, who's the trendsetter when it comes to keeping up with like the internet quality. My ass would do this over walkie-talkies if I had to. Every Tuesday night, I'm CB radioing in to Chuck from Elizabeth City. Thank you. J-Dub. I'm pretty sure J-Dub's from like Ohio area. Thank you. Yeah. Jake the Snake, F.U. Thank you. Tim Estes, you got it. The pool party's at my house. It's almost there, but 2.5 weeks away. Blake Bettis, all the usual suspects. Swish 94 to G-Baby. To who else did we got? We had QT0. So many. Look, I know I miss y'all. Tar Heel Ayers in the chat. He's a big part of the Discord. So if I missed you, it's not because I did it on purpose. It's because it's 12:15 at night. And we got to get out of here. We got to get some rest because the draft is going to be here in no time. And we'll be live breaking it down. And we expect you to be here. We hope you're here. Smash the thumbs up button. Tell a friend about the show. And tell them about this party on Thursday night. Until then, keep pounding.
Keep pounding.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. You could turn $10 into $250. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/fan and use code FAN. That's code FAN at prizepicks.com/fan. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.